Hi, I'm Avery Thompson. Before I get into my story, please like and subscribe if you're interested in hearing about how I've dealt with some major family drama. Trust me, you won't want to miss this ride. I'm 32, doing great in my marketing career, and married to Michael, my high school sweetheart. On paper, things look perfect, but let me tell you, family dynamics can be a real nightmare. At our last family dinner, my mother-in-law, Barbara, looked at my dress and said, "Avery, darling, that dress is interesting." Her voice was dripping with fake sweetness. "I guess it's what's fashionable these days," she added. I forced a smile and replied, "Thanks, Barbara. It's actually a designer piece I got for a great price." Michael squeezed my hand under the table, his silent way of telling me to let it go, but it's hard to ignore years of subtle insults and coldness. Then, Michael's dad jumped in, completely ignoring me. "So Michael, how's that big project at work going? And don't even get me started on Samantha, Michael's sister. She's the worst." She smirked and said, "Oh Avery, remember when you tried to bring that vegan casserole to Thanksgiving? Bless your heart for trying." I held back my frustration, thinking about how they accidentally left my dish in the kitchen that year. I just smiled and said, "Well, you know me, always trying something new." Michael gave me an apologetic look, knowing how hard I'd tried with his family, but he always hoped things would get better on their own. Flashback to our wedding day, I was so excited to officially join the family. Barbara greeted me with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Welcome to the Petersons," she said. "I hope you'll fit in, eventually." 5 years later, I'm still waiting for that eventually. Back at the dinner, I excused myself to the bathroom, needing a moment alone. I stared at my reflection, giving myself a pep talk. "You're doing this for Michael," I whispered. "Stay strong." I returned to the dining room with a fake smile and asked, "Who's ready for dessert?" Trying to lighten the mood, Samantha rolled her eyes and said, "Some of us actually watch our figures, Avery." Before I could respond, Samantha's face twisted in pain. She clutched her side and gasped, I can't breathe." The room exploded into chaos. "Samantha," Barbara screamed, rushing to her daughter. "Call an ambulance," Michael's dad yelled, panic clear in his voice as Samantha collapsed to the floor. I froze, stunned by what was happening. Despite the years of cold treatment, seeing her like this hit me hard. I snapped out of it and shakily dialed 911. "It's going to be okay," I whispered, more to myself than anyone else. I heard myself saying, "Help is on the way," though I wasn't sure who I was trying to reassure. As we waited for the ambulance, the air was thick with fear and uncertainty. I couldn't help but wonder, would this crisis bring us closer together or push us further apart? The waiting room was a blur of white walls and the sharp smell of antiseptic. I couldn't shake the image of Samantha collapsing at dinner. Despite our differences, I never wanted anything bad to happen to her. Michael was pacing back and forth, his face full of worry. A doctor in a white coat approached us. "I'm Dr. Chen. I have news about Samantha," he said. We all gathered around him, holding our breath. "I'm afraid Samantha has end-stage renal disease. Her kidneys are failing, and she urgently needs a transplant." The news hit us hard. Mrs. Peterson started sobbing, and Mr. Peterson's face went pale. "What are our options, doctor?" Michael asked, his voice shaking. "We need to find a suitable donor quickly," Dr. Chen replied. "Family members are usually the best match. I'd recommend testing all of you." The next few days were a whirlwind of tests and anxious waiting. One by one, the Peterson family was ruled out as potential donors. The atmosphere grew tense with each negative result. Then came the shocking news. "Avery, you're a perfect match for Samantha," Dr. Chen announced. The room fell silent, and I felt everyone's eyes on me, filled with a mix of hope and expectation. Suddenly, the Petersons' attitude toward me changed. Mrs. Peterson, who had always been cold, was now all smiles. "Oh, Avery, dear, what wonderful news," she gushed, grabbing my hands. Mr. Peterson chimed in, "We always knew you were special, Avery. You're truly a blessing to this family." Their sudden affection felt strange and insincere. I mumbled something vague and excused myself to get some air. Later that evening, while I was getting coffee in the hospital cafeteria, Mr. and Mrs. Peterson cornered me. "Avery, we need to talk," Mr. Peterson said, his tone serious. "We know it's a big decision, but Samantha's life is at stake." Mrs. Peterson added, tears in her eyes, "You're part of this family now, and family takes care of each other." Mr. Peterson finished. "Michael would do the same for you in a heartbeat," Mr. Peterson said, their words making me feel trapped. I need time to think about this. It's a major surgery, I stammered. Time, Mrs. Peterson's voice rose. Samantha doesn't have time. Now, Mr. Peterson tried to calm his wife, before turning back to me. Just think about how this could affect your future with Michael. He's very close to his sister, you know. Their veiled threat hung in the air. I muttered something about needing to talk to Michael and hurried away, my head spinning. That night, as I pretended to sleep, I overheard Michael talking to his parents in the hallway. She just needs a little convincing, Michael said. I'll talk to her. Avery will come around. I'm sure of it. She has to. We can't lose Samantha, Mrs. Peterson hissed. Do whatever it takes, Michael. My heart pounded as I lay there. The family I had tried so hard to please was now plotting against me. I felt alone, scared, and utterly betrayed. The conversation left me in shock. I couldn't believe what Michael and his parents were planning. It was time to dig deeper into the family's past. I started with Samantha's medical records. It wasn't easy, but I managed to get them. What I found was shocking. Years of heavy drinking and drug use had destroyed her kidneys. The Petersons knew all along, but had hidden the truth, enabling her behavior. I reached out to Michael's ex, Sarah. Hey Sarah, it's Avery. Can we meet for coffee? I need to ask you something important. Sarah agreed to meet, and over lattes, she spilled the truth. The Petersons? They're users, Avery. They treated me like family until I wasn't useful anymore. Then they threw me away like I was nothing. Her words sent chills down my spine. Everything made sense now. The cold treatment, the sudden kindness when they needed my kidney. I was just another pawn in their game. Next, I dug into the family business. After some creative digging, I uncovered a web of financial irregularities, and Michael's name was all over it. Confronting Michael was the hardest part. I laid out everything I'd discovered. What the hell, Avery? You've been snooping behind my back? Michael snapped. Can you blame me after what I overheard? I shot back. That was a private conversation, and what's wrong with wanting to save my sister's life? It's not about saving Samantha, it's about how your family has treated me for years, and now, suddenly, I'm their savior. You're being selfish. This is my sister we're talking about. Michael's face turned red. And I'm your wife, but that doesn't seem to matter to you or your family, I replied. The argument escalated until I dropped the bomb about the business. You're involved in fraud, Michael. Did you think I wouldn't find out? His face went pale. It's not what you think. We had to do it to keep the business afloat. By breaking the law? By putting everything at risk? Michael stormed out, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The next day, I called a family meeting. Everyone gathered in the Petersons' living room, tension hanging thick in the air. I've made my decision, I announced. I won't be donating my kidney. The room erupted. Barbara jumped up, her face twisted with rage. You ungrateful little, after everything we've done for you. Mr. Peterson joined in. You'll regret this, Avery. We'll make sure Michael sees you for who you really are. Samantha, pale and weak, spoke up. I knew you were never really part of this family. I stood my ground as insults and threats flew. Michael sat there silently, torn between his family and me. I've seen your true colors now, I said calmly. You've used and manipulated people for years. I won't be your next victim, I said as I turned to leave. Michael finally spoke up. Avery, if you walk out that door, don't bother coming back. I paused at the doorway and looked back at the family that had never truly accepted me. Goodbye, Michael. I hope you realize what you're losing before it's too late. After that explosive meeting, I knew there was no turning back. I had to protect myself and expose the truth about the Petersons. I spent weeks gathering evidence, financial records, emails, even recordings of conversations. It felt like solving a twisted puzzle, each piece revealing more of their dark secrets. I reached out to my old friend, Emma, whom I hadn't spoken to in years. I really need your help, I said, my voice cracking. Avery? Oh my God, what's wrong? She asked, genuinely concerned. I told her everything, the manipulation, the fraud, the kidney donation mess. Emma listened without judgment and then said, You're coming to stay with me, no arguments. Her support was a lifeline. I realized how isolated I'd become in my marriage, cut off from my own support system. As I reconnected with old friends and family, I grew stronger every day. One night, after triple-checking my anonymous tip, I hit send on an email to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. My heart raced as I watched the sending icon spin. There was no going back now. The investigation moved quickly. Within weeks, news broke of a major fraud probe into the Peterson family business. I watched from a distance as their carefully crafted image fell apart. Michael called me in a panic. "Avery, what have you done? The feds are all over the office." "I didn't do anything, Michael," I said calmly. "The truth is finally coming out." He paused, then said quietly, "I'm sorry, Avery. I should have listened to you, but it was too late for apologies. I had already filed for divorce, using the evidence I'd gathered to ensure a fair settlement. In the end, Michael stayed loyal to his family, not me." The fallout was huge. The company was charged with fraud and embezzlement, and Michael and his parents faced serious jail time. Samantha's substance abuse issues came to light during the investigation, jeopardizing her spot on the transplant list. As for me, I focused on rebuilding my life. I started a support group for people who had escaped manipulative family situations. It became my way of turning all that pain into something positive, helping others while finally freeing myself from the Petersons' control. At our first meeting, a woman tearfully shared, "I never thought I'd be strong enough to leave." "But you did," I reassured her, "and that's what matters." Months passed, and I was having lunch with Emma when breaking news flashed on the TV in the restaurant. The Petersons were being led out of court in handcuffs. "Holy," Emma whispered, "they're actually going to prison." I felt a swirl of emotions, relief, vindication, and a twinge of sadness for what could have been. Later that week, I got an unexpected call. It was Samantha. "Avery, it's me. I got a kidney, an anonymous donor." "That's great, Samantha. I'm happy for you," I replied, unsure of what else to say. There was a long pause. "I'm sorry, Avery, for everything. You were right about us." After a moment, I simply said, "I hope you make the most of this second chance, Samantha. Goodbye." As I hung up, I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. The Petersons were finally facing justice, their reputation and finances in ruins, but most importantly, I was free. That night, I wrote in my journal, "A year ago, I thought I had the perfect life. Now I realize it was all a carefully constructed lie." But the truth, as painful as it was, set me free. I stood up for myself, exposed the lies, and walked away. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. To anyone out there facing a similar situation, remember, you're stronger than you know. Don't let anyone manipulate you into sacrificing your own well-being. Your life is yours, and you deserve to live it on your own terms. I closed the journal, proud of how far I had come. I had survived the Petersons, and now, I was thriving. That was the best revenge of all. The story of Avery and the Petersons has come to an end. Now, I have a question for you. If you were in Avery's shoes, would you have donated your kidney to Samantha, despite all the mistreatment from the Peterson family? Or do you think Avery made the right choice by prioritizing her own well-being?
The old brass key felt wrong in my hand as I approached Marissa's storage shed. 6 months since the funeral, and I still couldn't bring myself to clear out her things. But today was different. Today, I needed to find Mom's antique music box, the one thing Lila had asked for since moving in with me. A gust of autumn wind rustled the overgrown garden, sending dead leaves skittering across my path. The padlock clicked open on the third try, the door's hinges protesting with a long, mournful creak. "Grandma?" The whisper was so faint I almost missed it. I froze, my hand still on the door handle. That couldn't be Lila's voice. She was at school. I dropped her off myself this morning. "Grandma, please." My heart stopped. The voice came from the darkest corner of the shed, behind stacked moving boxes and old furniture. I fumbled for my phone's flashlight, hands trembling as I swept the beam across the cluttered space. The light caught a flash of purple fabric, Lila's favorite sweater. She was huddled against the wall, her small wrists bound with zip ties to an old radiator pipe. "Oh God, Lila." I rushed forward, knocking over boxes in my panic. "Baby, who did this to you?" She flinched when I touched her, then collapsed against me, sobbing. Her skin felt ice cold, her dark hair matted with dirt. "How long had she been here?" Daddy said. She choked out between sobs, said I had to stay quiet. Like Mommy did. The world tilted sideways. Like Mommy did. Marissa's accident 6 months ago, the fall down the basement stairs that never made sense, suddenly crystallized into something far more sinister. When did your father bring you here? I worked at the zip ties with shaking fingers, trying to keep my voice steady. After school yesterday, he said. Lila's voice dropped to a whisper. He said I was being bad like mommy. The zip ties finally snapped. I gathered Lila into my arms, her small body trembling against mine. She felt lighter than I remembered, her collarbones sharp under my fingers. Has this happened before, sweetheart? She nodded against my shoulder. Sometimes, when I make Daddy mad. Or when I tell about the mean lady who visits. Mean lady? I filed that away, forcing myself to focus on getting Lila to safety. My mind raced through options: hospital first, then police. Document everything. But most importantly, keep her away from Trent. As I carried her out of the shed, my phone buzzed. Trent's name lit up the screen along with his text. Taking Lila to dinner tonight. Be there at 6 to pick her up. He didn't know. He had no idea I'd found her. I looked down at my granddaughter, at the angry red marks on her wrists and the fear still lingering in her eyes. The same eyes as Marissa's, eyes that must have held similar fear in those final months. It's okay now, I whispered, but the words felt hollow. Nothing about this was okay. My daughter was dead, her husband was a monster, and I'd been blind to it all. But not anymore. I held Lila closer as we walked to my car, each step cementing my resolve. Trent would pay for what he'd done, to my granddaughter, to my daughter, to our family. But first, I needed to understand exactly what I was dealing with. The game he'd been playing was about to change. He just didn't know it yet. The emergency room's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across Lila's face as the doctor examined her wrists. I sat nearby, clutching my phone, waiting for Trent's inevitable call. The hospital staff had already documented everything: the bruises, the malnutrition, the rope burns. Each piece of evidence felt like another nail in Trent's coffin. My phone buzzed. Not Trent, Finn. Mom? What's going on? The school called saying Lila never showed up today. I stepped into the hallway, keeping one eye on Lila through the door. I found her in Marissa's storage shed. Trent. My voice cracked. He left her there overnight. Silence crackled across the line. Then, I'm on my way. Don't let that bastard anywhere near her. As if summoned by Finn's words, Trent's voice boomed down the corridor. Where's my daughter? I'm her father. I have every right to see her. I turned to see him striding toward me, all polished corporate charm in his tailored suit. The same suit he'd worn to Marissa's funeral. Behind him stood a woman I didn't recognize. Her sleek blonde hair and designer clothes screaming executive. Something about her presence made my skin crawl. Eleanor. Trent's smile didn't reach his eyes. What's this about? The school called, saying Lila was absent. Cut the act, I snapped. I found her in the shed, tied up, like you left her. The blonde woman's eyes widened slightly before her face smoothed back to neutral. Trent didn't miss a beat. That's ridiculous. Lila's been acting out lately, making up stories, just like her mother used to. He lowered his voice. All concern. I've been meaning to talk to you about getting her some help. The casual mention of Marissa sent rage coursing through me. Like the help you got my daughter? Mrs. Blake, the blonde woman stepped forward. I'm Callie Rivers, Trent's colleague. Perhaps we could discuss this somewhere private? For Lila's sake. A memory surfaced, Marissa's voice on the phone, 3 weeks before her death. He's always working late with this woman from the office. Says I'm paranoid for asking questions. You. I met Callie's carefully neutral gaze. You're the mean lady Lila mentioned. Color drained from Callie's face. Trent's hand tightened on her arm, a gesture I recognized from countless photos of him with Marissa. Always controlling, always possessing. Mom. Finn's voice cut through the tension as he rounded the corner. He positioned himself between me and Trent, his shoulders tight with barely contained fury. Mr. Calloway. A police detective appeared behind us, flanked by 2 officers. We need to ask you some questions about your daughter's injuries. Trent's mask slipped for just a moment, long enough for me to see the rage beneath. This is a misunderstanding. Eleanor's clearly upset imagining things. Grief can do that to people. The evidence isn't imaginary, I said quietly. Neither are the videos from Marissa's phone. I was bluffing. I hadn't found any videos yet. But Trent's slight flinch told me they existed somewhere. Callie's hand twitched toward her purse before she caught herself. "We should go," she murmured to Trent. "Call your lawyer." As the police led Trent away, I caught a glimpse of Lila watching from her hospital room. She looked so much like Marissa in that moment, the same quiet strength beneath the fear. I hadn't protected Marissa, but I would protect Lila, even if it meant burning Trent's whole world down to do it. "Mom," Finn touched my shoulder. "What videos was that about?" "I don't know yet," I admitted. But Trent's reaction just told us where to start looking. Marissa's laptop sat on my kitchen table like a time bomb. After 3 days of Lila in the hospital, Child Protective Services interviews, and temporary custody arrangements, I finally had a moment to search for those videos I'd bluffed about. Finn had managed to crack Marissa's password, her wedding date, of all things. "Found something." Finn called from the living room where he was going through a box of Marissa's papers. "Bank statements. Look at these transfers." I opened the first video file I found instead. Marissa's face filled the screen, her eyes wide with fear. "If anything happens to me," she whispered, "it wasn't an accident. Trent's been." The recording cut off. The timestamp showed 3 days before her death. My hands shook as I opened another file, this one showing Trent and Callie in Marissa's home office, arguing in hushed voices while Marissa recorded from the hallway. "The money's gone, Trent," Callie hissed. "The board meeting's in 2 weeks. When they audit, they won't find anything." Trent cut her off. "Marissa's company will take the fall. I've already planted the evidence." The phone rang, startling me. Unknown number. "Mrs. Blake." A woman's voice, familiar but unexpected. "This is Callie Rivers. We need to talk." "I think we said everything we needed to at the hospital." "Please." Her voice cracked. "I have information about Marissa's death. But, Trent, he's watching me. Can you meet me at the Riverside Cafe in an hour?" I glanced at Finn, who was still absorbed in the financial documents. "Why should I trust you?" "Because I made a mistake getting involved with Trent. Because I didn't know about Lila. And because—" She paused. "Because I'm pregnant, and I'm terrified." The cafe was nearly empty when I arrived. Callie sat in a corner booth, her designer outfit replaced by jeans and an oversized sweater. A bruise peeked out from under her collar. "He's losing control," she said before I could speak. "The company's investigating financial irregularities. He blamed Marissa's company for the missing funds, but it was him. When she found out, he killed her." Callie flinched. "I thought it was an accident." "I swear I did. But then I found this." She slid a USB drive across the table. Security footage from their house. The night she died. My phone buzzed, a text from Finn. "Mom, get home now. Trent's here." "I have to go." I stood abruptly. "My son." "Wait." Callie grabbed my arm. "There's more. The board meeting tomorrow. He's planning to—" The cafe's window exploded inward. Callie screamed, shoving me down as glass rained around us. Through the chaos, I glimpsed a dark SUV speeding away. "He knows," Callie whispered, blood trickling from a cut on her cheek. "Oh God, he knows I talked to you." I helped her up, my mind racing. Finn was alone with Trent at my house. Lila was safe at least, still in the hospital under guard. "Come with me," I said. "We'll need your testimony." She shook her head, backing away. "I can't. The baby, I have to think about." "Callie." I caught her arm, feeling the tremors running through her body. "You're already in this. Help me stop him, or he'll destroy you too. Just like he destroyed Marissa." For a moment, I saw the same fear in her eyes that I'd seen in my daughter's video. Then something harder took its place. "Okay," she whispered, "but we have to hurry. The board meeting isn't just about money. He's going to frame Marissa's company for corporate espionage. Once those documents are filed, then we'll stop him before he gets the chance." I pulled out my phone to call Finn. "It's time to end this." My tires screeched as I pulled into my driveway, Callie clutching the dashboard beside me. Through the front window, I could see Finn and Trent in what looked like a calm conversation, but Finn's clenched fists told a different story. "Stay here," I told Callie, but she was already opening her door. "He'll be more controlled if I'm there," she said. "He won't want me to see." The sentence hung unfinished, heavy with implications about what Trent was capable of. Inside, Trent sat in my favorite armchair like he owned it, while Finn stood rigid by the fireplace. The USB drive felt like it was burning a hole in my pocket. "Eleanor," Trent smiled, all warmth and concern. "I was just telling Finn about my plans to seek full custody of Lila. Given recent events, I'm worried about your mental state." "Recent events like leaving your daughter tied up in a shed?" Finn's voice cracked with rage. "Allegations that will be thoroughly discredited." Trent waved his hand dismissively, then froze as Callie stepped into view. Something dark flickered across his face. "What's she doing here?" "Telling the truth," Callie said, but her voice trembled. "About everything." Trent stood slowly, straightening his jacket. "Careful, Callie. Think about your future. Our future." I saw the security footage. I cut in. From the night Marissa died. His expression didn't change, but his left hand twitched, the same tell I'd noticed at poker nights years ago, when he was bluffing. "What footage?" "The cameras you didn't know about," Callie said. "The ones Marissa installed after she caught us, after she knew something was wrong." Trent moved with startling speed, grabbing Callie's arm. Finn lunged forward, but Trent already had his phone out. "One call," he said quietly, "and certain documents go public. Documents that show Marissa's company stealing corporate secrets. Documents that would destroy her legacy and leave Lila with nothing." "Those documents are fake," I said, but uncertainty gnawed at me. How much damage could he do, even with lies? "Does it matter?" His grip on Callie tightened. "The scandal would follow Lila forever. Is that what you want? To destroy your granddaughter's future in some misguided quest for revenge?" "It's not about revenge," I said, but the words felt hollow. Wasn't that exactly what I wanted? To make him pay? Lila's face flashed in my mind, not scared and hurt in the shed, but laughing at the park last summer, Marissa pushing her on the swings. What would justice mean for her? "Let her go." Finn took another step forward. "Or I swear." "Or what?" Trent's smile turned cruel. "You'll add assault charges to your mother's growing list of problems? Face it, Eleanor. You've lost. Take the deal. Drop everything. Let me handle Lila's future and we all walk away." I pulled out my phone, fingers hovering over the screen. "You're right about one thing. This ends now." I pressed play. Marissa's voice filled the room. "If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident. Trent's been." The recording cut off just like before, but it was enough. Trent's mask slipped, revealing something desperate and dangerous underneath. "That proves nothing," he snarled, but his grip on Callie loosened. "No," I agreed. "But the security footage will. And the financial records. And Callie's testimony. The question is, how much are you willing to lose before you realize you've already lost everything?" The silence stretched taut as a wire. In it, I heard Marissa's voice again, not from the recording, but from memory. "Sometimes the best revenge is living well." I met Trent's eyes. "So, what's it going to be?" Detective Sarah Chin set a stack of photos on my kitchen table, spreading them out like a macabre deck of cards. Security footage stills from Marissa's house, financial documents, and images from Lila's hospital examination. "We have enough to arrest him," she said, "but making the charges stick will be harder. His legal team is already trying to paint me as unstable." I finished, pushing away a photo of Lila's bruised wrists, and threatening to destroy Marissa's company reputation. Finn paced behind us, phone pressed to his ear. "Yeah, I understand the board's concerns, but if you just look at the documentation." He caught my eye, shaking his head. Trent's lies were already taking root. My phone buzzed, a text from Callie. "Meeting moved up to tonight. Trent's making his move early. I can't stall him anymore." "There's something else," Detective Chin said quietly. "We found evidence of previous incidents. Other women, before Marissa." The words hit like a physical blow. What kind of incidents? Similar patterns. Successful women who suddenly lost everything, their companies, reputations, sometimes their lives. All ruled accidents or suicides. Finn ended his call. Mom, we've got another problem. Trent's lawyers are filing for emergency custody of Lila. They're claiming you orchestrated this whole thing to damage his reputation. The room tilted sideways. I gripped the table edge, my knuckles white. He can't, after what he did. He can try, Detective Chin said. And he has friends in high places. Another text from Callie. He knows I helped you. Says he'll make sure I lose the baby if I testify. The pieces clicked together. Trent's pattern, his confidence, the way he'd always stayed just ahead of consequences. He didn't just hurt people. He destroyed them completely. The board meeting, I said suddenly. What if we could prove the financial fraud before he frames Marissa's company? We'd need access to his private servers, Detective Chin replied. And authorization from. I have his passwords. Callie's voice came from the doorway. We all turned. She stood there, pale but determined, one hand protectively over her stomach. All of them. And I'm ready to testify. It's dangerous, I warned. He'll come after you. He already is. She moved closer, laying a USB drive on the table. But I won't let him destroy another family. I owe Marissa that much. Finn checked his watch. The meeting's in 3 hours. Even with the passwords, downloading and analyzing that much data. Then we work fast, Detective Chin said, already pulling out her phone. I'll get my cyber team. A crash from outside cut her off. Through the window, I saw 2 men in dark suits approaching the house. Trent's private security. Back door, Detective Chin ordered, drawing her weapon. Now. As we moved, I grabbed Marissa's laptop and the USB drive. We had one chance to expose everything, the fraud, the abuse, the deaths he'd caused. One chance to ensure Lila's safety and Marissa's justice. Mom. Finn grabbed my arm as we slipped out the back. Whatever happens next, we're in this together. I thought of Marissa's final video, her voice trembling but determined. Of Lila in that shed, still brave despite everything. Of all the other women who'd faced Trent's wrath alone. Together, I agreed, clutching the evidence that could save or destroy us all. But we finished this tonight. The sound of breaking glass echoed from inside the house. As we ran, I silently promised Marissa that her death wouldn't be in vain. Trent had spent years building his house of cards. Time to watch it burn. The corporate boardroom loomed before me, all glass and steel and money. Detective Chen's cyber team had worked miracles with Callie's passwords, but we were cutting it close. Too close. He's already inside, Finn whispered, checking his phone. With the board and his lawyers. I clutched the flash drive containing everything, the security footage, financial records, Marissa's videos. My entire case against Trent, compressed into a tiny piece of metal and plastic. Mrs. Blake. A security guard approached. Mr. Calloway is expecting you. Of course he was. He'd probably orchestrated this whole moment, letting me get this far just to watch me fail. The boardroom doors opened. Trent sat at the head of the table, surrounded by stern-faced executives and sharp-suited lawyers. His smile hadn't changed since Marissa's funeral, practiced, perfect, poisonous. Eleanor, he stood, all concern and warmth. I'm so glad you came. We were just discussing Marissa's companies. Unfortunate situation. You mean the situation you created? I moved to plug the flash drive into the presentation system, but one of the lawyers cleared his throat. Before we proceed, he said, I should inform you that sharing potentially stolen corporate data would constitute a criminal act. Trent's smile widened. We're only trying to protect you, Eleanor. Your recent behavior, the false accusations, the harassment of my staff, the attempted kidnapping of my daughter. Kidnapping? My voice cracked. She was chained in a shed on property you broke into. Another lawyer interjected, after making numerous threats against Mr. Calloway. The room spun slightly. They had twisted everything, turned every piece of evidence against me. And the board members were nodding, buying every word. Play the security footage, Finn demanded, but Trent held up his hand. Ah, yes, the mysterious footage that supposedly shows me. He paused dramatically. Doing what exactly? Because our technical team found only edited clips, manipulated dates. Really, Eleanor? Fraud doesn't suit you. My phone buzzed. Detective Chun. Evidence tampering at the station. Original files corrupted. Callie missing. The floor seemed to drop out from under me. He got into everything, the evidence, the witnesses, even the police files. Now, Trent continued smoothly. Given your emotional state, I'm prepared to be generous. Drop these ridiculous allegations, sign over temporary custody of Lila while you seek help, and we can avoid pressing charges. You killed her, I whispered. You killed Marissa. Your daughter's death was a tragic accident, he said softly, his eyes hard. Don't dishonor her memory with these paranoid fantasies. The board members shifted uncomfortably. I could see it in their faces. They saw me as the unstable one, the grieving mother who'd lost touch with reality. Mom. Finn touched my arm. We need to go. Now. One more thing, Trent added as we turned to leave. The hospital called. Lila's been asking for her father. It would be a shame if your issues prevented those visits. The threat hung in the air, clear as crystal. He would use Lila to control me, just like he'd controlled Marissa. In that moment, I understood completely why Marissa had felt so hopeless at the end. Trent didn't just destroy evidence. He destroyed reality itself, replacing it with his own version where he was always the hero, always the victim, always in control. Outside the boardroom, my phone buzzed again. An unknown number, with a video attachment. The thumbnail showed Callie, terrified but alive, holding up today's newspaper. I have proof, the message read. The real proof. But we only have one chance to use it. I stared at the phone, then at Finn, thinking of Lila in that shed, of Marissa's final days, of all the women Trent had destroyed. One chance. It would have to be enough. Callie's proof led us to Marissa's old office building, now mostly empty after hours. Finn kept watch while I followed her directions to the third-floor server room. My phone buzzed with Detective Chen's warning. Trent left the board meeting, moving fast. The server room door was already open. I wondered when you'd figured out. Trent's voice came from the darkness. He stepped into the dim emergency lighting, holding Marissa's old laptop. She always backed everything up here. Paranoid to the end. Where's Callie? Safe. For now. He set the laptop down. You know, Marissa stood right there the night she died, making the same mistakes you're making. Movement behind him caught my eye, a flash of blonde hair. Callie, her face bruised, gesturing frantically at something on the desk beside Trent. She wasn't the first, was she? I kept his attention on me. Detective Chun found the others. All those accidents and suicides. Tragic coincidences. His smile turned sharp, just like what's about to happen here. A grieving mother, unstable after her daughter's death, breaks in to destroy corporate property. Things get out of hand. You really think you can get away with it again? I already have. The board believes me. The police have nothing. Even your precious evidence is corrupted. He stepped closer. It's over, Eleanor. You lost. Maybe. I glanced at Callie again. She had something in her hands now, a small recording device. But Marissa didn't. I pressed play on my phone. Marissa's voice filled the room. If you're watching this, I'm dead. And Trent killed me. His composure cracked. That's not. I found his pattern. Marissa's voice continued. The women, the companies, the fake evidence. I've uploaded everything to a secure server. This is the key. Callie moved suddenly, tossing something small and metallic. I caught it, a USB drive on a familiar chain. Marissa's old necklace. Trent lunged for it, but Finn appeared in the doorway, Detective Chun beside him. It's over, Trent. Nothing's over. He grabbed Callie, using her as a shield. One call, and everything you love disappears. Lila, your reputation, Marissa's legacy. You can't hurt them anymore. Callie's voice shook, but her eyes were steel. I sent copies to everyone. The board, the police, the victims' families. Every single woman you destroyed. The mask finally shattered. Rage transformed his handsome face into something monstrous. He shoved Callie aside, lunging for me with murderous intent. I didn't flinch, didn't run. The taser hit him mid-stride, Detective Chen's aim perfect. He collapsed, twitching, as officers swarmed the room. Mom. Finn rushed to my side. Are you okay? I stared down at Trent, remembering Marissa's smile, Lila's courage, all the lives he'd broken trying to maintain his perfect facade. Your mistake, I told his prone form, was thinking this was about revenge. It was always about justice. For Marissa, for Lila, for all of them. As they led him away, I helped Callie to her feet. Thank you, she whispered, for not giving up. Marissa didn't give up either. I touched the USB drive, still warm from being hidden in the server room all these months. She made sure the truth would come out one way or another. My phone lit up with a text from the hospital. Lila's asking for you. Go, Detective Chen said. We've got enough to put him away for life. Multiple counts of fraud, assault, murder. I left them processing the scene, evidence mounting with every open file. Outside, the sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of hope. Time to go home. Time to heal. Time to show Lila that monsters can be beaten, that truth finds its way to light, and that love, fierce, protective, unrelenting love, is stronger than any darkness. 6 months after Trent's arrest, I stood in Marissa's old office, watching Lila explore the space that would soon become her art room. The company board had transferred ownership back to the family, a small gesture of atonement for their role in Trent's schemes. Grandma, look. Lila held up a dusty photo frame she'd found in a drawer. Marissa's smile beamed from behind the glass, her arms around a younger Lila. Can we put this one up? Of course, sweetheart. I helped her hang it on the freshly painted wall, next to the growing collection of her drawings. The latest showed 3 figures, Lila, me, and Finn, surrounded by bright colors and floating hearts. My phone buzzed. Detective Chen. Trent took the plea deal. Life sentence.
No parole.
Mom. Finn appeared in the doorway. Callie's here. She entered carefully, her baby bump now visible beneath her flowing dress. The board meeting went well, she said. They've agreed to compensate all the families Trent hurt. It won't bring anyone back, but it's a start. I finished. The healing process was different for everyone. Some of Trent's other victims' families had wanted revenge. Others just wanted to forget. We'd chosen to rebuild. Aunt Callie. Lila ran to hug her. The title had started spontaneously a few weeks ago, and nobody had corrected it. Family came in many forms, we'd learned. I found something else, Callie said, pulling out a small USB drive. More videos from Marissa. Personal ones for Lila. When she's older. I took the drive, feeling its weight. More pieces of Marissa to discover. More memories to share. Thank you. There's something else.
Finn shifted uncomfortably.
Remember those offshore accounts Trent had? The forensic accountants found another one. In Lila's name. The implications hung heavy in the air. Blood money, meant to buy silence or loyalty. We'll donate it, I decided. Set up a foundation for domestic violence survivors. In Marissa's name. Lila tugged at my sleeve. Can we make it help kids too? Like me? Especially kids like you. I hugged her close, marveling at her resilience. The nightmares were less frequent now, the therapy helping her understand none of it was her fault. A familiar melody drifted through the office, Marissa's old music box, the one that started this whole journey, playing its bittersweet tune. Lila had placed it on the windowsill, letting afternoon sunlight catch its tarnished surface. You know, Callie said softly, Marissa told me once that revenge wasn't about destroying someone. It was about refusing to let them destroy you. I watched Lila return to her drawing, adding another figure to the family portrait, Marissa, floating above like a guardian angel. She hummed along with the music box, peaceful and present in a way that seemed impossible 6 months ago. We should go. Finn checked his watch. The support group meets in an hour. I nodded, gathering my things. The group had been Callie's idea, bringing together families affected by Trent's crimes, creating strength through shared healing. As we left the office, Lila stopped to straighten the photo of Marissa. "Mom's watching us," she said matter-of-factly, "making sure we're okay." "Yes, she is." I touched the frame gently. "And we are okay, aren't we?" Lila smiled, Marissa's smile, bright and unbreakable. "We're better than okay. We're family." The music box played its final notes as we walked out together, leaving the shadows of the past behind. Not forgotten, never forgotten, but transformed into something stronger. Something that could heal instead of hurt. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting better. "Cassie, when will you stop embarrassing this family?" Mother's voice cuts through the morning calm like a knife. I stare defiantly over my coffee mug, heart pounding. I didn't realize existing was embarrassing. "Don't be smart," Father snaps. "Your sister manages to dress appropriately for family breakfast." Jocelyn shifts uncomfortably in her pressed blouse and slacks. I glance down at my paint-splattered overalls, a rebellion in denim. "I came straight from a studio," I say. "My art doesn't keep anchors hours." Mother's lips tighten.
Art.
"Is that what you're calling those scribbles now?" The words sting, but I refuse to let it show. My name is Cassandra Harlow, Cassie to the few who actually know me, and I'm suffocating in a family that can't see past their own expectations. "They're good enough for the buyers at the gallery," I retort. Father scoffs. "Buyers?" As if anyone with taste would pay for that nonsense. "Warren," Mother hisses, not at the table. "But he's on a roll now. When are you going to grow up, Cassandra? Your sister's already making partner at her law firm. What do you have to show for yourself?" I grip my mug tighter, knuckles white. "I have my integrity. And my freedom." "Freedom," he laughs bitterly. "Is that what you call mooching off your parents at 28?
I pay rent, Igrov.
For this overpriced closet you call a guest house." "A pittance," Mother sniffs. "Hardly covers the utilities." Jocelyn clears her throat. "Maybe we could talk about something else? The weather's been lovely." "Stay out of this," Father and I snap in unison. She shrinks back, and for a moment, I feel a pang of guilt. It's not her fault she's their golden child. I stand abruptly, chair scraping against the hardwood. "I think I've lost my appetite." "Sit down," Father commands. "We're not finished." I say, heading for the door. Mother's voice follows me. "This is why you'll never amount to anything, Cassandra. You can't even finish a simple family breakfast." I pause, hand on the doorknob. The urge to lash out, to hurt them as they've hurt me, is overwhelming. But I swallow it down. "You're right, Mother. I can't finish this. Not anymore." I step out into the crisp morning air, letting the door slam behind me. The manicured lawn of the main house stretches before me, a perfect facade, hiding the rot beneath. I stride across it, grass staining my bare feet. My phone buzzes. A text from Jocelyn. "I'm sorry. They shouldn't have said those things." I ignore it, shoving the phone back in my pocket. Her pity is almost worse than their scorn. The guest house, my prison for the past year, looms ahead. I'd moved back in after a bad breakup and an eviction notice, swallowing my pride for what I'd thought would be a few months at most. Now it feels like quicksand slowly pulling me under. Inside, I survey the cramped space. Canvases line the walls, splashes of color defying the beige monotony my parents prefer. My latest piece sits on the easel, an abstract swirl of reds and blacks, emotion made visible. I grab my battered suitcase from the closet and start throwing clothes in haphazardly. Enough is enough. I can't keep suffocating here, trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for me. A knock at the door interrupts my frenzied packing. "Cassie." It's Jocelyn. "Can we talk?" I hesitate, then open the door. She takes in the suitcase, eyes widening. "You're leaving?" "I have to," I say. "I can't do this anymore, Jose." She nods slowly. "I understand. But where will you go?" I laugh, a bit hysterically. "No idea. But anywhere's better than here." Jocelyn bites her lip. Let me help. I can lend you some money just to get started. No. I cut her off. I appreciate it, but I need to do this on my own. She looks hurt, but nods again. Okay, just promise you'll stay in touch. I soften slightly. It's not her fault she's the daughter they wanted. I promise. As I finish packing, Jocelyn hovers uncertainly. What should I tell them? I zip the suitcase closed with finality. Tell them I'm finally growing up. I shoulder my bag and grab my easel. Jocelyn follows me out, watching as I load everything into my beat-up Volkswagen. Be careful, she says as I slide into the driver's seat. I manage a small smile. Always am. As I pull out of the driveway, I catch a glimpse of my parents watching from the window. Their faces are a mixture of anger and disbelief. I lift my hand in a mock salute, then press down on the accelerator. The mansion shrinks in my rearview mirror, and with each mile, I feel the weight lifting from my chest. I have no idea where I'm going, but for the first time in years, I'm free. And that's worth more than all the approval in the world. The sun beats down on my neck as I adjust my easel, squinting at the canvas before me. It's been 3 weeks since I left home, and the local art fair is my first real attempt at making it on my own. My stomach churns with a mix of excitement and dread. Interesting use of color. A deep voice says behind me. I turn to see a man studying my latest piece, head tilted thoughtfully. Thanks, I reply, trying to gauge if he's being sincere or sarcastic. His rugged good looks are offset by grease-stained hands and well-worn jeans. Not exactly the typical art fair patron. He grins, disarming me completely. I mean it. The way you've captured light here, he points to a swirl of yellow and orange. It's like looking at a sunset through stained glass. I blink, surprised by his insight. That's exactly what I was going for. He extends a hand. I'm Rhett Lawson. Cassie Harlow, I say, shaking it. His grip is firm, calloused. So, Cassie Harlow, he says, tell me about this one. He gestures to a darker piece, all stormy blues and grays. I hesitate. It's deeply personal, painted during one of my lowest moments after leaving home. But something in Rhett's open expression makes me want to share. It's about feeling trapped, I explain. Like you're drowning in expectations that aren't your own. Rhett nods slowly. I get that. Family stuff. I laugh humorlessly. Is it that obvious? Let's just say I recognize the look, he says with a wry smile. So, what did you do to get out from under it? This, I say, gesturing to my paintings. I left. Decided it was time to sink or swim on my own terms. Brave, Rhett says, and there's genuine admiration in his voice. We talk for hours, the rest of the fair fading into background noise. Rhett, it turns out, is a mechanic with a passion for restoring vintage cars. He describes engines the way I talk about color theory, with an enthusiasm that's infectious. As the fair winds down, Rhett helps me pack up my unsold pieces. So, he says casually, I was thinking of taking a drive up the coast tomorrow. There's this great little seafood shack about 2 hours north. Want to come? I hesitate. It's impulsive, maybe even reckless. But isn't that what I wanted when I left home? To take chances, to live freely? You know what? Yeah, I say, surprising myself. I'd love to. Rhett's face lights up. Great. I'll pick you up at 10. The next morning, I'm waiting outside my cheap motel room when Rhett pulls up in a gleaming 1967 Mustang convertible. My jaw drops. You like? He asks, patting the hood affectionately. It's gorgeous. I breathe, running a hand along the smooth paint. Restore her myself, Rhett says proudly. Hop in. We cruise up the coast, wind whipping through my hair. Rhett keeps me laughing with stories of disastrous first dates and entitled customers. For the first time in years, I feel truly relaxed. The seafood shack lives up to Rhett's praise. We devour fresh crab cakes and clam chowder at a weathered picnic table overlooking the ocean. So, Rhett says, wiping his mouth, what's next for you? After the fair, I mean. I shrug, suddenly self-conscious. Honestly, I have no idea. I've got enough saved to last a couple months. But after that, I trail off, the reality of my situation sinking in. Rhett nods thoughtfully. You know, my mom runs this little gallery in town. Nothing fancy, but she's always looking for fresh talent. Want me to put in a word? I stare at him, torn between gratitude and pride. That's really kind of you, but I don't want charity. It's not charity, Rhett insists. Your work is good, Cassie. Really good. Mom's got a great eye. If she likes what she sees, it's because you deserve it. I bite my lip, considering. It's a lifeline, a chance to actually make this crazy dream work. Okay, I say finally. If she's interested, I'd love to meet her. Rhett grins. Great. I'll set it up. As we drive back, the sun setting in a blaze of color that puts my paintings to shame, I feel a spark of hope ignite in my chest. For the first time since I left home, the future doesn't seem quite so daunting. We pull up to my motel, and Rhett kills the engine. There's a moment of charged silence. I had a really great time today, I say softly. Me too, Rhett replies. He leans in and I meet him halfway. The kiss is gentle, tentative at first, then deepens. When we finally break apart, we're both a little breathless. So, Rhett says, a mischievous glint in his eye. What do you say we make this a regular thing? The road trips, he adds hastily. Although, the kissing part was pretty great too. I laugh, feeling lighter than I have in years. I'd like that, I say. Both parts. As I watch Rhett drive away, I realize I've taken my first real step towards independence. It's terrifying and exhilarating all at once. Whatever comes next, I know I'm ready to face it head on. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink. Rhett and I sit on a checkered blanket, the remains of our picnic scattered around us. 6 months have passed since that first road trip, and every day has been an adventure. Cassie, Rhett says, his voice uncharacteristically serious. These past months have been the happiest of my life. I turn to him, smiling. Mine too. He takes a deep breath, reaching into his pocket. I know it might seem fast, but when you know, right? He pulls out a small velvet box, and my heart skips a beat. Cassandra Harlow, will you marry me? The ring inside is simple but beautiful, a delicate silver band with a small, sparkling diamond. It's nothing like the gaudy rocks my mother always fawned over, and I love it all the more for that. Yes, I breathe, tears pricking my eyes. Yes, of course I will. Rhett's face breaks into a radiant grin as he slips the ring onto my finger. We kiss as the last rays of sunlight fade, wrapped in the warmth of our shared joy. Reality crashes back the next morning as I stare at my phone, thumb hovering over my parents' number. I have to tell them, but the thought makes my stomach churn. You don't have to do this, Rhett says, wrapping his arms around me from behind. I lean into his embrace. I do. They're still my family, even if. I trail off, unable to finish the thought. I'll be right here, he promises. Taking a deep breath, I hit call. Mother answers on the third ring. Cassandra? Is everything all right? Everything's fine, Mother. I say, steeling myself. I have news. I'm engaged. There's a long pause. I see, she says finally, her voice tight. And who is the lucky man? His name is Rhett. He's a mechanic, specializes in vintage car restoration. Another pause, longer this time. A mechanic, she repeats flatly. Cassandra, surely you can't be serious. I am, I say, my resolve strengthening. We'd like you to meet him. Maybe we could come for dinner next week. I can practically hear her internal struggle. Finally, she sighs. I suppose that would be acceptable. Wednesday at 7. The week drags by, a mix of anticipation and dread. Rhett remains steadfast, his quiet confidence bolstering my own. When Wednesday arrives, we pull up to my parents' house in Rhett's prized Mustang. Ready? He asks, squeezing my hand. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. Mother answers the door, her smile brittle. Cassandra. And you must be Rhett. Pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Harlow, Rhett says warmly, extending his hand. She shakes it briefly, her nose wrinkling slightly at the lingering traces of motor oil. Come in, please. Father and Jocelyn are waiting in the living room. Jocelyn hugs me tightly, whispering congratulations in my ear. Father merely nods, his expression unreadable. Dinner is a tense affair. Mother peppers Rhett with questions about his background and education, each answer clearly disappointing her. Father remains mostly silent, watching Rhett with narrowed eyes. So, Rhett, he finally says as dessert is served. What are your intentions with my daughter? Rhett meets his gaze steadily. To love her, support her dreams, and build a life together. Father scoffs.
Noble sentiment.
But how do you intend to provide for her? Surely you don't expect her to live on a mechanic's salary. Dad, I interject, anger flaring. I can provide for myself. My art. Your art. He cuts me off dismissively. Cassandra, it's time to be realistic. This dalliance has gone on long enough.
Dalliance.
I repeat, incredulous. We're getting married. No, Father says firmly. You're not. I forbid it. The room falls silent. Even Mother looks shocked. You forbid it? I say, my voice dangerously quiet. I'm not a child, Dad. You don't get to forbid anything. As long as you're part of this family, then maybe I don't want to be part of this family. I shout, standing abruptly.
Come on, Rhett.
We're leaving. Rhett rises, his face a mask of calm. Thank you for dinner, Mr. and Mrs.
Harlow.
I'm sorry we couldn't find common ground. As we head for the door, Jocelyn catches my arm. Cassie, wait. They'll come around. Just give them time. I shake my head, tears threatening to spill. I've given them my whole life, Jose. I can't do it anymore. Outside, I collapse against the car, sobs racking my body. Rhett holds me close, murmuring soothing words. I'm so sorry, I choke out. You didn't deserve that. He tilts my chin up, his eyes full of love. Hey, none of that. I knew what I was signing up for, remember? We're in this together. As we drive away, I feel a strange mix of grief and liberation. The bridge to my old life is burning, but ahead lies a future full of possibility, one I get to shape with my own hands. So, Rhett says, a hint of his usual humor returning. Wanna elope? I laugh through my tears, the weight on my chest easing slightly. You know what? That doesn't sound half bad. As the lights of my childhood home fade in the rearview mirror, I realize I've made my choice. Whatever comes next, Rhett and I will face it together, on our own terms. The key scrapes in a lock as Rhett and I stumble into our new loft, arms laden with boxes. Sunlight streams through the large windows, illuminating the dusty hardwood floors and exposed brick walls. Home sweet home, Rhett says, dropping a box with a grunt. I spin slowly, taking it all in. It's small, rough around the edges, and absolutely perfect. I can't believe we did it, I breathe. Rhett wraps his arms around me from behind. Believe it, babe. This is our fresh start. We spend the day unpacking, transforming the empty space into something uniquely ours. My easel claims a corner by the window, while Rhett's vintage car posters add character to the bare walls. By nightfall, we collapse onto our secondhand couch, exhausted but exhilarated. To new beginnings, Rhett says, clinking his beer bottle against mine. And to telling convention to shove it, I add with a grin. The next few weeks are a whirlwind of activity. Rhett throws himself into getting his restoration shop up and running, working long hours to transform an old garage into his dream workspace. I set up an online store for my art, nervously listing my first few pieces. You're sure about the prices? I ask Rhett for the 100th time, hovering over the publish button. He kisses my forehead. Your work is worth every penny, Cass. Trust yourself. Taking a deep breath, I click publish. It feels like sending a piece of my soul out into the world. Days pass with no sales, and doubt begins to creep in. Maybe my parents were right. Maybe this is all just a pipe dream. I throw myself into painting, channeling my frustration onto canvas. One morning, I wake to Rhett shaking me excitedly. Cassie, wake up. You've got to see this. I blink groggily at the laptop screen he's thrust in front of me. It takes a moment for the numbers to register. Wait, is that? You sold 3 paintings overnight. Brett, whoops. And look at the comments. They love your work. Tears spring to my eyes as I read the glowing reviews. It's not just the money, though that's certainly welcome. It's the validation, the proof that my art speaks to people. I told you, Rhett says softly, pulling me close. You're amazing, Cass. The sales continue steadily over the next few months. I expand my online presence, even landing a few commissions. Meanwhile, Rhett's shop gains a reputation for quality work, attracting a loyal clientele of classic car enthusiasts. One evening, as we're celebrating another successful week, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Jocelyn. Can we talk? It's important. My stomach twists. I haven't spoken to anyone in my family since that disastrous dinner. Part of me wants to ignore it, to protect the life Rhett and I have built. But curiosity wins out. Hey, Jose, I say when she picks up. What's going on? Her voice is strained. It's Dad. There's been a scandal at the university. He's been forced to resign. The news hits me like a punch to the gut. Despite everything, I never imagined my father's carefully constructed world crumbling. What happened? Jocelyn hesitates. It's complicated. Financial improprieties, abuse of power. It's all over the local news. I sink onto the couch, mind reeling. Rhett sits beside me, concern etched on his face. How are Mom and Dad handling it? I ask, though I can already guess the answer. Not well, Jocelyn sighs. Mom's a wreck, and Dad.
He's not the man we knew, Cass.
They're going to lose the house. Everything. A part of me, a petty, wounded part, wants to feel satisfied. Isn't this karma for how they treated me? But the larger part aches for my family, for the pain they must be going through. What do you need from me, Jose? I ask quietly. She takes a shaky breath. I hate to ask, but could you come see them? They won't admit it, but I think they need you. I close my eyes, conflicting emotions warring within me. Rhett squeezes my hand supportively, and I draw strength from his presence. I'll think about it. I say finally. I can't promise anything, but I'll think about it. After I hang up, I fill Rhett in on the situation. He listens without judgment, his steady presence a balm to my churning thoughts. Whatever you decide, he says when I finish, I'm with you. If you want to see them, we'll go together. If you want to stay away, I'll support that too. I lean into him, grateful beyond words for his unwavering support. I don't know what to do, I admit. Part of me wants to help, but another part is terrified of getting sucked back into their world. Rhett nods thoughtfully. You don't have to decide right now.
Sleep on it.
Whatever choice you make, it'll be the right one for you. As I lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, I realize that this is the true test of the independence I've fought so hard for. The choice to help or not is mine alone, not dictated by obligation or fear, but by my own values and desires. Whatever I decide, I know it will shape the next chapter of my life. And for the first time, I feel truly ready to write that chapter on my own terms. The sharp knock at the door jolts me from my painting trance. I glance at the clock, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Rhett's at the shop, and we're not expecting anyone. I open the door to find Jocelyn standing there, looking like she hasn't slept in days. Her usually immaculate suit is wrinkled, her hair disheveled.
Jess?
I say, stunned. What are you doing here? She pushes past me into the loft, her eyes darting around wildly. Nice place, she says, her voice brittle. Very bohemian. Thanks, I reply cautiously. Jocelyn, what's going on? You look terrible. She laughs, a harsh, humorless sound. Oh, you haven't heard? I thought surely it would have reached your artistic circles by now. My stomach tightens. Heard what? Jocelyn collapses onto our couch, suddenly looking very small. It's Dad, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. He's been fired from the university. There's a huge scandal. The news hits me like a physical blow. I sink down next to her, mind reeling. What happened? Financial improprieties, Jocelyn says, her voice hollow. embezzlement, kickbacks from contractors. It's all over the news. They're saying he could face criminal charges. I struggle to reconcile this information with the image of my father, stern, principled, always lecturing us about integrity. I don't understand. Why would he do that? Jocelyn shakes her head. I don't know. Greed? Desperation? He's not talking to anyone, not even Mom. How is she taking it? How do you think? Jocelyn snaps. Her whole world is crumbling. The country club set she was so desperate to impress? They've all turned their backs on her. We're going to lose the house, Cassie. Everything. The weight of it all settles on me. Despite everything, a part of me aches for them. I'm so sorry, Jose. Is there anything I can do? She looks at me, eyes suddenly sharp. Actually, yes. That's why I'm here. I tense, sensing what's coming. They need help, Cass, Jocelyn pleads. Financial help. I've done what I can, but with the legal fees and everything else, it's not enough. I stand abruptly, pacing the small space. Jose, I don't know if I can do that. Can't or won't, she challenges. Both. I explode. Do you have any idea what it's been like, building this life from scratch? Every penny I make goes back into my art or our living expenses. And even if I could afford it, after everything they've put me through. Jocelyn's eyes flash. So that's it? You're just going to abandon them when they need you most. Abandon them? I repeat incredulously. Like they abandoned me when I chose to follow my passion? When I fell in love with someone they deemed unworthy. That's different, Jocelyn argues weakly. Is it? I counter. They made their choices, Jose. Just like I made mine. We glare at each other, years of unspoken resentment bubbling to the surface. Finally, Jocelyn deflates. I'm sorry, she says softly. I shouldn't have come here demanding things. I don't know what to do, Cass. I feel like I'm drowning. My anger fades, replaced by a complicated mix of empathy and wariness. I sit back down, taking her hand. I get it. Really, I do. But I can't just write a check and make this all go away. Jocelyn nods, looking defeated. I understand. I should go. As she stands to leave, a thought strikes me. Wait, I say. I can't give you money, but maybe I could talk to them? Try to help them figure out their next steps. Hope flickers in Jocelyn's eyes. You do that. I take a deep breath, steeling myself. Yeah, I think I need to, for my own closure if nothing else. Jocelyn hugs me tightly.
Thank you, Cass.
You have no idea what this means. After she leaves, I sink back onto the couch, emotions swirling. When Rhett comes home, I fill him in on everything. Wow, he says when I finish. That's a lot to process. How are you feeling about it all? I laugh humorlessly. Honestly, I have no idea. Part of me wants to help them, to be the bigger person. But another part is scared of getting sucked back in, Rhett finishes. I nod, grateful for his understanding. He pulls me close. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. But Cass, don't let guilt drive your choices. You've worked too hard for this life to throw it away out of obligation. I lean into him, drawing strength from his steady presence. I know. I think I need to see them, to understand what happened, and maybe find some closure. But I'm not going to sacrifice everything we've built. I can't. Rhett kisses my forehead. That sounds like a good plan. Want me to come with you? I consider it, then shake my head. No, I think this is something I need to do on my own. But thank you for offering. As I lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, I realized that this visit could change everything. Will seeing my parents in their fallen state bring resolution or open old wounds? Can I find a way to help without compromising my own hard-won independence? Whatever happens, I know this confrontation has been a long time coming, and for better or worse, it will shape the next chapter of all our lives. The elevator creaks ominously as it ascends to the 5th floor of a rundown apartment building. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what's to come. The doors open, revealing a dimly lit hallway with peeling wallpaper. This is a far cry from the pristine mansion I grew up in. I find the right door and knock, my heart pounding. There's a long pause before I hear shuffling footsteps. The door opens a crack, and I see my mother's face, pale and drawn. "Cassandra," she says, surprise evident in her voice. "What are you doing here?" "Hello, Mother," I reply, trying to keep my voice steady. "Jocelyn told me what happened. I thought I should come see you." She hesitates, then opens the door wider.
Kumain isuwas.
The apartment is small and cluttered, nothing like the meticulously decorated home I remember. Dad sits in a threadbare armchair, staring blankly at a muted TV. He doesn't look up as I enter. "Warren," Mother says sharply. "Cassandra's here." He grunts, finally turning to face me. The man before me is a shadow of the imposing figure from my childhood. His eyes are sunken, his clothes rumpled. "Come to gloat, have you?" he says bitterly. I flinch at his tone.
"No, Dad."
"I came to see if you're okay." He laughs humorlessly. "Okay? We've lost everything. My career, our home, our reputation, all gone. And now you show up, playing the concerned daughter?" "I am concerned," I insist. "You're still my parents, despite everything." Mother bustles around, clearing papers off a small couch. "Sit down, Cassandra. Would you like some tea?" I nod, grateful for the momentary distraction. As she disappears into the kitchenette, I take a seat, acutely aware of Dad's glare. "So," I say, desperate to break the tension, "have you thought about what you're going to do next?" Dad scoffs. "Do? What can we do? I'm radioactive in academia now. Your mother's little society friends won't even return her calls. We're finished." His defeatist attitude grates on me. "You're not finished. You're just starting over." "Easy for you to say," he snaps. "You chose this life of struggle. We had everything, and now you know what it's like to live without a safety net," I finish. "Like I've been doing since I left." Mother returns with the tea, her hands shaking slightly as she sets down the tray. "Let's not argue," she pleads. "Cassandra, tell us about your life. Are you managing all right?" I see the real question in her eyes. "Are you here to help us?" The realization sends a chill through me. Is that all I am to them now? A potential lifeline? "I'm doing well," I say carefully. "My art is selling, and Rhett's business is taking off." "Ah yes, the mechanic," Dad mutters. I ignore the jab. "We're building a life together. It's not always easy, but it's ours." Mother nods, a forced smile on her face. "That's lovely, dear. And have you given any thought to, well, family obligations? Now that we're in this difficult situation." And there it is, the request I've been dreading. I set down my teacup, my resolve hardening. "I can't give you money," I say firmly. "Even if I could afford it, which I can't, it wouldn't solve the underlying problems." Dad's face darkens. "So, you'll abandon us in our time of need? After everything we've done for you?" "Everything you've done for me?" I repeat incredulously. "You mean criticizing every choice I've made? Trying to force me into a life I never wanted?" "We wanted what was best for you," Mother interjects. "No," I say, my voice rising. "You wanted what was best for your image. You never once asked what I wanted." Dad stands abruptly, looming over me. "We gave you every advantage, and this is how you repay us? By turning your back when we need you most." I stand too, refusing to be intimidated. "I'm not turning my back. I'm here, aren't I? But I won't enable you to avoid taking responsibility for your actions." "Responsibility," he roars. "You ungrateful." "Enough," Mother cries, tears in her eyes. "Please, both of you, stop this." We fall silent, the air thick with tension. I take a deep breath, trying to center myself. "Look," I say more calmly. "I can't give you money, but I want to help. I can help you look for jobs or find resources for people in your situation. But you have to be willing to start over, to rebuild." Dad slumps back into his chair, suddenly looking very old. "What's the point?" he mutters. I kneel beside him, taking his hand. "It's the first time we've touched in years. The point is that you're still here. You still have each other and Jocelyn and
Me.
if you want." Mother joins us, her hand on Dad's shoulder. Perhaps Cassandra is right, Warren. We can't go back, but we can go forward. He looks at me, really looks at me for what feels like the first time. You've grown up, he says softly. When did that happen? I smile sadly. While you weren't looking. As I leave the apartment an hour later, I feel drained but oddly hopeful. It's not a fairy tale reconciliation, but it's a start. A chance to build a new relationship, one based on mutual respect rather than expectations. I step out into the fading sunlight, taking a deep breath of the city air. Whatever comes next, I know I can face it. I've found my strength, my voice. And no one can take that away from me. The tension in the small apartment is palpable as I stand facing my parents. What started as a tentative attempt at reconciliation has devolved into a bitter confrontation. Mother's face is flushed with anger, while Dad glowers from his armchair. How can you be so heartless, Cassandra? Mother demands, her voice shrill. After everything we've done for you, you'd abandon us in our time of need? I take a deep breath, fighting to keep my composure. I'm not abandoning you. I've offered to help you find resources, to support you emotionally. But I can't just write a check and make this all go away. Support us emotionally?
Dad scoffs.
What good is that when we're about to be evicted? Maybe if you'd supported me emotionally all these years, things would be different now. I retort, years of pent-up frustration bubbling to the surface. Mother gasps. How dare you? We gave you everything. Everything except acceptance, I say, my voice rising. Everything except the freedom to be myself. Oh, here we go again with the artist nonsense, Dad mutters. Something inside me snaps. It's not nonsense. It's who I am, who I've always been. But you were too busy trying to mold me into your perfect daughter to see that. We wanted what was best for you. Mother cries. No. I counter, years of hurt pouring out. You wanted what was best for your image. Do you have any idea what it was like growing up in this house? The constant criticism, the impossible standards. They stare at me, stunned by my outburst. Every time I showed you a painting, you asked why I couldn't be more like Jocelyn. I continue, unable to stop now that the floodgates have opened. Every accomplishment was met with, that's nice, but when are you going to do something real with your life?
Do you know what that does to a child?
Dad starts to speak, but I cut him off. And now that your carefully constructed world has crumbled, you expect me to swoop in and save you? To sacrifice the life I've built, the happiness I've found, to prop up your pride? We're parents, Mother says weakly. Yes, you are. I acknowledge, my voice softening slightly. And I love you, but I won't set myself on fire to keep you warm. The silence that follows is deafening. Mother sinks onto the couch, tears streaming down her face. Dad stares at the floor, his jaw clenched. I never realized, he says finally, his voice barely above a whisper. We thought we were pushing you to be your best self. Your version of my best self. I correct gently. Not mine. Mother looks up at me, really looks at me, perhaps for the first time in years. You've grown so strong, she says, a mix of pride and regret in her voice. When did that happen? It happened when I stopped trying to be who you wanted me to be and started being true to myself. I reply. Dad clears his throat. And this life you've built, with the mechanic, you're truly happy? I nod, a small smile playing at my lips. Happier than I've ever been. Rhett sees me, the real me. He supports my dreams without trying to change them. I suppose we owe him an apology, Mother says quietly. You owe a lot of people apologies, I say, but without malice. Including yourselves. They exchange a look, years of shared history passing between them. We've made a mess of things, haven't we? Dad says ruefully. I sit down between them, taking each of their hands in mine. Yes, you have. But it's not too late to start fixing it.
How?
Mother asks, her voice small and uncertain. By taking responsibility for your actions, I say firmly, by rebuilding your lives on a foundation of honesty and humility instead of pride and appearances. Dad nods slowly. It won't be easy. No, I agree. It won't. But I'll be here to support you if you'll let me. Not financially, but as your daughter. As someone who loves you, flaws and all. Mother squeezes my hand. We don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not, I say. But I'm offering it anyway. Because that's who I am, the person I've become despite everything. For the first time in years, I see a glimmer of genuine pride in their eyes, not for what I've accomplished, but for who I am. We have a lot to learn from you, Cassandra, Dad says softly. I stand, feeling lighter than I have in years. It's not too late to start. As I leave the apartment, I feel a sense of closure I never thought possible. The road ahead won't be easy, for any of us. But for the first time, I feel like we might be able to walk it together as equals. I step out into the fading sunlight, taking a deep breath of the city air. Whatever comes next, I know I can face it. I've found my strength, my voice. And in doing so, I may have finally helped my parents find theirs. The future is uncertain, but it's ours to shape. And for the first time in my life, I'm truly excited to see what holds. The crisp autumn air carries the scent of possibility as I stand before the newly expanded Lawson's Vintage Restorations. Rhett's dream has grown, and with it, a space for my own aspirations to flourish. The storefront gleams, half filled with lovingly restored classic cars, the other half transformed into a cozy art gallery showcasing my work. Ready for this? Rhett asks, squeezing my hand. I take a deep breath, nodding. As I'll ever be. The grand opening is a whirlwind of faces, friends, fellow artists, car enthusiasts, and curious locals. I float between conversations, my heart swelling with pride at the admiring glances cast at both the vehicles and my paintings. This is incredible, Cassie, a familiar voice says behind me. I turn to see Jocelyn, looking slightly out of place in her tailored suit but smiling genuinely.
Yes.
I exclaim, pulling her into a hug. I'm so glad you could make it. She steps back, taking in the gallery. I wouldn't have missed it. Your work. It's beautiful. I never really understood before, but now I see what you've been trying to tell us all along. Her words bring unexpected tears to my eyes. Thank you. I manage. That means more than you know. Jocelyn's expression turns serious. Listen, I wanted to apologize.
For everything.
For not standing up for you more, for buying into Mom and Dad's expectations. I shake my head, cutting her off. You don't need to apologize. We were both just trying to survive in that house, in our own ways. She nods, looking relieved. How are they doing? Mom and Dad, I mean. I know you've been in touch more than I have lately. I consider my words carefully. They're
trying.
It's not easy, but they're making an effort to rebuild their lives, to see things differently. Dad's even talking about volunteering at a community college, teaching a night class. Wow, Jocelyn says, clearly surprised. That's not what I expected. Me neither, I admit. But I think losing everything forced them to reevaluate what really matters. Our conversation is interrupted by Rhett's mother, Evelyn, bustling over with a tray of champagne flutes. Girls, you must have a toast. This is a celebration after all. We accept the glasses, and Evelyn pulls me into a warm hug. I'm so proud of you both, she says, her eyes shining. You've built something truly special here. As she moves on to mingle with other guests, Jocelyn raises an eyebrow. She seems lovely. She is, I say, a wave of gratitude washing over me. She's been more of a mother to me these past few years than I trail off, not wanting to reopen old wounds. Jocelyn nods in understanding. I'm glad you found that support, Cass. You deserve it. The evening progresses, a steady stream of well-wishers and potential clients flowing through the doors. As things begin to wind down, Rhett joins me by my favorite painting, a swirling abstract that somehow captures both the freedom of the open road and the comfort of coming home. Quite a night, huh? He says, wrapping an arm around my waist. I lean into him, exhausted but elated. It's more than I ever dreamed possible. He kisses the top of my head. You made it happen, Cass. Your talent, your determination, that's what brought us here. We made it happen. I correct him. I couldn't have done any of this without you believing in me. As the last guests trickle out, Jocelyn approaches us again. I should get going, she says. But before I do, Mom and Dad asked me to give you this. She hands me an envelope. With trembling fingers, I open it to find a card. Inside, in my father's precise handwriting, is a simple message. Cassandra, we are so proud of the woman you've become and the life you've built. We were wrong to try to change you, and we're sorry it took us so long to see that. If you're willing, we'd like to start over, to get to know the real you, and to be the parents you always deserved. With love and admiration, Mom and Dad. Tears blur my vision as I pass the card to Rhett. He reads it silently, then pulls me close. What do you think? He asks gently. I take a shaky breath. I think it's a start. A real one this time. Jocelyn smiles, looking relieved.
They really mean it, Cass.
They've changed, or at least they're trying to. I nod, a complex mix of emotions swirling within me. Tell them I'd like that. To start over. As Jocelyn leaves, Rhett and I stand in the quiet gallery, surrounded by the fruits of our labor and love. So, he says, a mischievous glint in his eye. What's next for us, Cassandra Harlow's soon-to-be Lawson? I laugh, feeling lighter than I have in years. I don't know exactly, but for the first time in my life, I'm excited to find out. We step outside, locking up our new shared space. The street is quiet, the city winding down for the night. But for us, it feels like a new dawn. As we walk hand in hand towards our loft, I realize that this moment, this life we've built, is the masterpiece I've been working towards all along. It's not perfect, it's not what anyone else planned for me, but it's beautifully, authentically mine. And that I now know is worth more than all the approval in the world. Nora, I need you to promise me something, Eli whispered, his grip weak but insistent. I leaned closer, my heart racing. The hospital room's sterile smell faded as I focused on my husband's pale face. Anything, my love. What is it? Take care of the boys and don't let them lose themselves. His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I squeezed his hand, forcing a smile. Of course I will.
But you'll be there too, Eli.
We'll do it together. He shook his head, a sad smile playing on his lips. We both know that's not true, Nora. Promise me. I promise, I choked out, tears blurring my vision. Eli's eyes closed, his breathing shallow. The monitor's steady beat became a haunting rhythm, marking the precious seconds we had left. My name is Nora, and this was the moment my world shattered. I stood there, numb, as doctors rushed in. Their voices faded to a dull roar as I watched them work on Eli. It had all happened so fast. The diagnosis, the rapid decline, and now, this. Time of death, 3:47 p.m., a voice announced. I felt a hand on my shoulder and turned to see Dr. Patel, her eyes filled with sympathy. I'm so sorry, Nora. We did everything we could. I nodded mechanically, unable to form words. My mind raced, thinking of our sons Jasper and Caleb. How would I tell them? How could I possibly keep my promise to Eli when I felt so lost myself? As if summoned by my thoughts, the door burst open. Jasper strode in, his face a mask of anger and grief.
Mom.
What happened? Why didn't you call me sooner? I reached for him, but he brushed past me to Eli's bedside. Dad, come on, wake up. Jasper, I said softly, touching his arm. He's gone, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. He whirled on me, eyes blazing. This is your fault. You should have made him go to the doctor sooner. You should have. That's enough, a quiet voice interrupted. Caleb stood in the doorway, his artist's hands clenched at his sides. This is a mom's fault, Jasper. You know that. Jasper's shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of him. He collapsed into a chair, head in his hands. I can't believe he's gone. I moved to comfort him, but Caleb beat me to it. He knelt beside his brother, one hand on Jasper's back. I know, Jas. I can't either. Watching them, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe I could keep my promise to Eli after all. Maybe we could get through this together. But then Jasper looked up, his eyes hard. What happens now? With the house, the money, everything. And just like that, the moment shattered. I stared at my eldest son, shocked by his questions so soon after his father's death. Jasper, that's not important right now. We need to. Not important, he scoffed. Dad worked his whole life for us. We deserve to know what he left behind. Caleb stood up, disgust evident on his face. Are you serious right now? Dad just died, and you're worried about money? Jasper rose to face his brother. Someone has to think practically. We can't all be starving artists like you, Caleb. Stop it, both of you, I said firmly, stepping between them. This isn't the time or place. We need to support each other, not fight. But as I looked at their faces, Jasper's calculating, Caleb's hurt, I realized this was just the beginning. Eli's last words echoed in my mind. Don't let them lose themselves. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. We'll discuss everything later. For now, let's focus on saying goodbye to your father. As we gathered around Eli's bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that our family was balanced on a knife's edge. One wrong move, and everything could fall apart. I placed my hand on Eli's still chest, my wedding ring glinting under the harsh hospital lights. I'll keep my promise, I whispered, no matter what it takes. Little did I know just how much that promise would cost me in the days to come. As we left the hospital, the weight of responsibility settled on my shoulders. I was a widow, a mother, and now the keeper of secrets that could tear our family apart. But I was also a fighter, and I would do whatever it took to honor Eli's last wish and keep our family together, even if it meant facing the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of our seemingly perfect life. The tension in the room was palpable as I unfolded the crisp legal document. Jasper's eyes bored into me, his jaw clenched. Caleb sat quietly, his gaze darting between his brother and me. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. I'll read the key points of your father's will. I began, my voice steadier than I felt. The family home and the majority of our savings are left to me, to manage as I see fit. Jasper's fist clenched on the armrest. I continued before he could interrupt. For you boys, there's a modest trust fund. It's designed to help with education or starting a business, but it's not substantial. That's it. Jasper exploded, leaping to his feet. After everything Dad built, that's all we get? I met his gaze, unflinching. Your father worked hard to provide for us, Jasper. He wanted to ensure we'd be taken care of, but also that you'd make your own way in the world. Caleb spoke up, his voice soft. It makes sense, Jazz. Mom needs security, and we're young. We can build our own lives. Jasper rounded on his brother. Of course you'd say that. You don't care about money, mister. Starving artist. Some of us have ambition. Ambition. Caleb's eyes flashed. Is that what you call wanting a handout? Enough, I interjected, stepping between them. This is exactly what your father wanted to avoid. He believed in both of you, in your abilities to succeed on your own merits. Jasper scoffed.
Right.
So he leaves everything to you, and we get scraps. How is that fair? I felt my patience wearing thin. Life isn't always fair, Jasper. Your father trusted me to make the right decisions for this family. If you need help, I'm here. But I won't simply hand over a fortune you haven't earned. You're unbelievable, Jasper spat. Dad's barely cold, and you're already playing the stern matriarch. I bet you influenced him to write the will this way. The accusation stung, but I held my ground. That's enough. Your father made his own decisions. I'm honoring his wishes, whether you like it or not. Caleb stood, placing a hand on my shoulder. Mom's right, Jazz. This isn't helping anyone. We should be grateful for what we have, not fighting over money. Jasper's laugh was bitter. Oh, spare me the saintly act, Caleb. You're just happy because you know Mom will keep funding your little art projects. Some of us have real goals. I watched the hurt flash across Caleb's face and felt my anger rising. That's unfair, Jasper. Your brother's work is valuable, even if it's not measured in dollars. Your father was proud of both of you for different reasons. Well, he had a funny way of showing it, Jasper muttered. He paced the room, running a hand through his hair. What am I supposed to tell Savannah? We had plans, big plans. I sighed, remembering Eli's warnings about Jasper's girlfriend. Your relationship isn't dependent on your inheritance, Jasper. If Savannah truly loves you, don't, he cut me off. Don't you dare lecture me about love. You have no idea what Savannah and I have. The room fell silent, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavy between us. I looked at my sons, Jasper, seething with resentment, and Caleb, a mix of sadness and resignation on his face. How had we come to this? Listen, I said softly, I know this is hard. We're all grieving, and emotions are running high, but we need to stick together. Your father wanted us to support each other, not tear ourselves apart over money. Jasper's shoulders slumped, some of the fight leaving him. I had plans, Mom. I thought I'd be able to start my own business, make Dad proud. I moved to him, placing a hand on his arm. You still can, sweetheart. The trust fund is there to help you get started. And I'm here to support you, always. But it has to be earned, not handed to you. He shrugged off my touch. Whatever. I need some air. Without another word, he stormed out of the room. Caleb and I stood in silence for a moment. He'll come around, Mom, Caleb said finally. He's just hurting. I nodded, hoping he was right. I know. I wish your father was here. He'd know what to say. Caleb hugged me, and I felt tears prick my eyes. You're doing great, Mom. Dad would be proud of how you're handling this. As we broke apart, I caught sight of Eli's photo on the mantel. His kind eyes seemed to bore into me, reminding me of his last words. Don't let them lose themselves. I hope you're right, Caleb, I whispered, because I have a feeling this is just the beginning of our troubles. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. A text from Jasper. This isn't over. Savannah and I won't stand for this. I showed it to Caleb, who shook his head. What are we going to do? I squared my shoulders, a plan already forming. Whatever it takes to keep this family together. Your father trusted me with that task, and I won't let him down. As Caleb left to start dinner, I sat heavily in Eli's old armchair. The weight of responsibility settled on me like a cloak. I had no idea what challenges lay ahead, but I knew one thing for certain. I would fight with everything I had to honor Eli's last wish and protect our family, even if it meant going to war with my own son. The doorbell chimed, its cheerful tone at odds with the tension that had settled over our home since the reading of Eli's will. I smoothed my shirt and took a deep breath before opening the door. Mom, I want you to meet Savannah, Jasper said, his arm around a stunning blonde woman. Savannah's smile was dazzling, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Mrs. Thompson, it's so lovely to finally meet you. Jasper's told me so much about you. I forced a smile, trying to ignore the warning bells ringing in my head. Please call me Nora. Come in, both of you. As they entered, I couldn't help but notice Savannah's designer outfit and the way her eyes darted around our modest living room, assessing everything. Jasper seemed oblivious, his face alight with pride as he watched her. Can I get you anything to drink? I offered, leading them to the couch. Just water for me, Savannah replied, her tone suggesting that anything else would be beneath her. I'm on a very strict diet. I bit back a retort and headed to the kitchen, where Caleb was making coffee. Is that her? He whispered, peering around the doorframe. I nodded, filling a glass with water. Be nice, I warned, for Jasper's sake. When we returned to the living room, Savannah was examining the family photos on the mantel. Oh, Jasper, she cooed, you are such an adorable child. It's a shame you don't have any recent professional photos. They'd look so much more polished. I saw Caleb's jaw clench, but he managed a polite smile as he set down the coffee tray. I like our family photos. They capture real moments. Savannah's laugh was like tinkling glass. Oh, of course. But don't you think it's time for something a bit more sophisticated? Especially now that Jasper is about to start his own business. I raised an eyebrow at my son. Oh, I didn't realize you had concrete plans, Jasper. He shifted uncomfortably. Well, I'm still working out the details. But Savannah's been really supportive and has some great connections. That's right, Savannah chimed in, her voice syrupy sweet. My father knows some wonderful investors. Of course, they usually prefer to work with people who have substantial assets of their own. The implication hung in the air, heavy and accusatory. I felt my patience wearing thin. Jasper has a trust fund, I said evenly. It's meant to help him get started in life, including business ventures. Savannah's smile never wavered. Oh, how quaint. But surely, as Eli's widow, you have access to more significant resources? I mean, Jasper is the eldest son. It's only natural that he'd want to continue his father's legacy in grand style. I saw Caleb tense beside me, ready to jump to my defense. But this was my battle to fight. Eli's legacy, I said slowly, meeting Savannah's gaze, was about more than money. It was about integrity, hard work, and family. Those are the values we cherish in this house. Savannah's eyes narrowed slightly. Of course. But surely you want Jasper to succeed? To have the best of everything. What I want, I replied, my voice firm, is for both my sons to find their own paths and build lives they can be proud of, not lives dictated by societal expectations or external pressures. The room fell silent. Jasper looked between Savannah and me, confusion and frustration warring on his face. Mom, he started, but Savannah cut him off with a gentle touch on his arm. It's all right, darling, she said, her voice dripping with false understanding. I'm sure your mother will come around once she sees how successful you'll be. After all, what parent doesn't want the best for their child? I felt my temper flare. The best isn't always the most expensive or flashy, Savannah. Sometimes it's the hard-won victories and the lessons learned along the way. Savannah's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing a flash of contempt before her saccharine smile returned. Well, we all have different definitions of success, I suppose. Jasper, sweetheart, we should go. We don't want to be late for our dinner reservation. As they stood to leave, I caught a glimpse of the person Jasper used to be, uncertain, looking to me for guidance. But then Savannah's hand slipped into his, and his expression hardened. We'll talk later, Mom, he said, his tone clipped. After they left, Caleb and I sat in stunned silence. Well, Caleb finally said, that was a disaster, I finished, rubbing my temples. She's trouble, Mom. Can't Jasper see that? I sighed, thinking of Eli's warning. Love, or what we think is love, can blind us to a lot of things. But you're right. She's not here for Jasper. She's here for what she thinks he can provide. Caleb leaned forward, his expression serious. What are we going to do? I stood, walking to the window to watch Jasper's car disappear down the street. We fight for him, Caleb. We fight to remind him of who he really is, not who Savannah wants him to be. As I turned back to my younger son, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. Eli had trusted me to keep our family together, to prevent our boys from losing themselves. It wouldn't be easy, especially with Savannah's influence, but I was ready for the challenge. We'll start by showing Jasper that true success isn't measured in dollar signs, I said, a plan already forming in my mind. And we'll make sure Savannah understands that this family isn't her personal piggy bank. Caleb nodded, a determined glint in his eye. I'm with you, Mom. All the way. As we began to strategize, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a long and difficult battle. But with Eli's memory guiding me and Caleb by my side, I knew we stood a fighting chance. The war for Jasper's soul and our family's future had begun. The cafe bustled with the lunchtime crowd, but I barely noticed the noise. My eyes were fixed on the glittering diamond ring on Jasper's finger as he fidgeted nervously across the table.
Mom,
We have some news, he began, glancing at Savannah, who beamed triumphantly beside him. My heart sank. I forced a smile, already dreading what was coming. What is it, sweetheart? Savannah thrust her left hand forward, a massive diamond catching the light. We're engaged, she squealed, her voice carrying across the cafe. I swallowed hard, fighting to keep my expression neutral. That's quite a surprise. Congratulations. Jasper's face fell slightly at my lukewarm response. Aren't you happy for us, Mom? Before I could answer, Savannah jumped in. Of course she is, darling. She's just shocked by how quickly you swept me off my feet. She turned to me, her eyes glinting. It was so romantic, Nora. Jasper proposed at the country club, with a string quartet and everything. I raised an eyebrow at my son. The country club? I didn't realize you were a member. Jasper shifted uncomfortably. Well, Savannah's family are members.
They've been
Very generous. I see, I said, my tone carefully measured. And when did all this happen? Just last night. Savannah gushed. We couldn't wait to tell you. And of course, to start planning the wedding. It's going to be the event of the season. I felt a headache coming on. That sounds expensive. Jasper leaned forward, his expression earnest. That's actually why we wanted to talk to you, Mom. We were hoping, well, with Dad's estate and everything, we'll need to access some of the funds, Savannah finished bluntly. For the wedding, of course, and to help us get started. Jasper's business plans are so exciting, and with the right investment. I held up a hand, cutting her off. Slow down, please. Jasper, can we talk privately for a moment? Savannah's smile faltered, but she recovered quickly. Of course. I'll just powder my nose. Don't talk about me too much while I'm gone. She sashayed away, leaving a cloud of expensive perfume in her wake. As soon as she was out of earshot, I leaned in close to Jasper. What are you doing? I hissed. You've known her for barely 2 months. Jasper's jaw set stubbornly. I love her, Mom. She understands me, supports my ambitions. Why can't you be happy for me? Because this isn't you, Jasper, I pleaded. Lavish proposals? Country clubs? What happened to the son who wanted to build his business from the ground up, to make his own way? Maybe I've grown up, he snapped. Maybe I've realized there's nothing wrong with wanting the finer things in life. Dad would have understood. The mention of Eli felt like a physical blow. Your father worked hard for everything he had. He didn't expect handouts or shortcuts. Jasper's eyes flashed. Is that what you think this is? A shortcut? I'm trying to secure our future, Mom. Savannah's connections could open doors for all of us. I shook my head, feeling the distance between us grow. And what does Savannah get out of this arrangement? What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm worried, Jasper. This is all happening so fast, and the way she talks about money. Stop. Jasper cut me off, his voice low and angry. I don't want to hear it. Savannah loves me for who I am, not what I have. But we do need your help to get started. It's my inheritance too, Mom. I have a right to it. Before I could respond, Savannah returned, sliding gracefully into her seat. Did I miss anything important? She asked, her tone innocent but her eyes sharp. Jasper took her hand, his expression hardening. Just filling Mom in on our plans. She's processing the news. Savannah's smile didn't waver. Of course, it's a lot to take in. But you'll help us, won't you, Nora? After all, family is everything. I looked between them, seeing the determination in Jasper's eyes and the calculation in Savannah's. In that moment, I made a decision. I'm sorry, I said firmly, but I can't give you access to the estate funds. The trusts are set up for specific purposes, and a lavish wedding isn't one of them. The silence that followed was deafening. Savannah's mask slipped for a moment, revealing a flash of fury before she composed herself. Jasper stood abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. I can't believe this. You're really going to stand in the way of my happiness? Jasper, please. No, he cut me off. I've heard enough. Come on, Savannah. We're leaving. As they stormed out of the cafe, leaving me alone at the table, I felt a mix of emotions wash over me. Grief for the son I felt I was losing, anger at Savannah's manipulations, and a deep, gnawing fear that I was failing to keep my promise to Eli. But beneath it all, a steely resolve began to form. I wouldn't let Savannah destroy our family or lead Jasper astray. As I gathered my things to leave, I made a silent vow. I would fight for my son, for our family's legacy, and for the values Eli and I had always held dear. The battle lines were drawn, and I was ready for war. The annual Thompson family barbecue had always been a joyous occasion, but this year, tension hung in the air like a storm cloud. I stood at the grill, mechanically flipping burgers, my mind racing with worry about the inevitable confrontation looming. Caleb appeared at my side, his voice low. "Mom, are you sure inviting Jasper and Savannah was a good idea?" I sighed, wiping my brow. "They're family, Caleb. We can't shut them out, no matter how difficult things have become." As if on cue, a sleek sports car pulled into the driveway. Jasper emerged, looking uncomfortable in an outfit far too formal for a backyard barbecue. Savannah stepped out behind him, her designer sundress and oversized sunglasses a stark contrast to the casual attire of our relatives. "Showtime," Caleb muttered, squeezing my arm supportively before moving to greet them. I watched as Savannah air-kissed Caleb's cheeks, her eyes already scanning the gathering. Jasper hung back, his posture tense. When his gaze met mine, I saw a flicker of the son I knew, uncertain, almost apologetic. But then Savannah's hand slipped into his, and his expression hardened. The next hour passed in a haze of forced small talk and thinly veiled tension. I could feel Savannah's eyes on me, calculating her next move. It came as I was serving dessert. "Nora, darling," Savannah's voice rang out, silencing the chatter around us. "I've been meaning to ask, have you given any more thought to our little chat about the wedding funds?" I froze, acutely aware of every eye turning towards us. "Savannah, this isn't the time or place." "Oh, but when is?" she pressed, her tone sickeningly sweet. "You've been avoiding us for weeks. I think the family deserves to know how you're holding Jasper back from his potential." Jasper shifted uncomfortably. "Savannah, maybe we should." "No, Jasper," she cut him off. "Your mother needs to understand what she's doing. Do you all know," she addressed the gathering, "that Nora is refusing to release funds that rightfully belong to Jasper? Funds that could help him start his business, secure our future." A murmur rippled through the crowd. I felt my cheeks burn with a mix of anger and embarrassment. "That's not true," I said firmly. "Jasper has access to his trust fund, which was set up specifically to help him get started in life. What he's asking for goes far beyond that." Savannah's eyes narrowed. "And who are you to decide what he deserves? Eli would be ashamed of how you're treating his son." The mention of Eli's name was the final straw. I opened my mouth to retort, but Caleb beat me to it. "That's enough," he said, his voice quiet but steely. "You have no right to speak for our father, Savannah. You didn't know him." Savannah turned on him, her mask slipping to reveal the venom beneath. "Oh, the artist speaks. Tell me, Caleb, how does it feel to mooch off your mother while your brother tries to make something of himself?" Gasps echoed around the yard. Caleb stood his ground unflinching. "I work hard for everything I have. And unlike some people, I don't measure success by the size of my bank account or the brand of my clothes." "How dare you?" Savannah shrieked. "Jasper, are you going to let them talk to me like this?" All eyes turned to Jasper, who looked torn between loyalty to Savannah and the family he'd known his whole life. I don't." "Choose, Jasper," Savannah demanded. "It's me or them. Your future or your past." The silence that followed was deafening. I watched my son, my heart breaking as I saw the conflict play out across his face. Finally, he spoke. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said softly, "but Savannah's right. You're holding me back. I can't keep living in Dad's shadow, trying to live up to your impossible standards." The words hit me like a physical blow. I stumbled back, steadying myself against the picnic table. "Jasper, please." But he was already turning away, Savannah's triumphant smile gleaming in the afternoon sun. "We're leaving," she announced. "And don't expect an invitation to the wedding. Clearly, you're not supportive of our happiness." As they stormed off, leaving a wake of shocked relatives behind them, I felt my world crumbling. Caleb's arm around my shoulders was the only thing keeping me upright. "It's okay, Mom," he whispered. "We'll figure this out." But as I watched Jasper's car disappear down the street, I wasn't so sure. Eli's last words echoed in my mind. Don't let them lose themselves. I'd failed him. I'd failed Jasper. As the stunned guests began to disperse, murmuring apologies and awkward goodbyes, I made a silent vow. This wasn't over. I wouldn't give up on Jasper, no matter what it took. Savannah may have won this battle, but the war for my son's soul was far from over. I turned to Caleb, my resolve strengthening.
We need a plan, I said.
And I think it's time we did some digging into Savannah's past. Something tells me there's more to her story than she's letting on. Caleb nodded, a determined glint in his eye. I'm with you, Mom. All the way. As we began to clean up the remnants of the disastrous barbecue, I felt a strange mix of despair and determination. The path ahead was unclear, but one thing was certain. I would fight for my family with everything I had. Eli's legacy and Jasper's future depended on it. The manila envelope felt heavy in my hands as I stared at the return address of the law firm. My heart raced as I tore it open, dreading what I might find inside. As I scanned the legal jargon, 2 words jumped out at me: contest and will. My worst fears were confirmed. Jasper and Savannah were taking legal action to challenge Eli's will. I sank into my chair, the room spinning. How had it come to this? My own son, willing to drag our family through a legal battle for money he hadn't earned. Mom, Caleb's voice snapped me back to reality. What's wrong? I handed him the letter wordlessly. His face darkened as he read. We need to confront them, he said, his voice tight with anger. This has gone too far. I nodded, steeling myself for the battle ahead. Call Jasper. Tell him we need to meet. All of us. An hour later, we sat in tense silence around the dining room table. Jasper refused to meet my eyes, while Savannah wore a smug smile that made my blood boil. I assume you know why we're here, I began, my voice steadier than I felt. Savannah leaned forward, her eyes glinting. To finally see reason and give Jasper what he deserves? I ignored her, focusing on my son. Jasper, look at me. Is this really what you want? To tear our family apart over money? He shifted uncomfortably. It's not just about the money, Mom. It's about fairness. Dad would have wanted. Don't you dare presume to know what your father would have wanted. I cut him off, my voice sharp. Eli worked hard for everything we have. He believed in earning your way, not taking shortcuts. Savannah scoffed.
Please.
Eli was just too short-sighted to see Jasper's potential. Unlike you, we have ambition. Caleb slammed his hand on the table, making us all jump. Ambition? Is that what you call manipulating my brother and trying to steal from our family? How dare you? Savannah shrieked. Jasper, are you going to let them talk to me like this? But Jasper remained silent, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. I took a deep breath, centering myself. Before this goes any further, there's something you both need to see. I pulled out a stack of documents I'd gathered over the past weeks. Bank statements, credit reports, and a detailed history of Savannah's past relationships and financial dealings. What is this? Jasper asked, his voice wary. The truth, I replied, spreading the papers across the table. About Savannah's past and her real motivations for being with you. Savannah's face paled as she recognized some of the documents. Where did you get those? That's private information. I met her gaze steadily. When you threaten my family, nothing is off limits. Did you really think I wouldn't investigate the woman trying to manipulate my son? Jasper leaned forward, his eyes scanning the papers. Mom, what are you talking about? Savannah has a history, Jasper. A pattern of attaching herself to wealthy men, draining their resources, and moving on to the next target. She's done it 3 times before you. The color drained from Jasper's face as he turned to Savannah. Is this true? She laughed nervously. Of course not, darling. Your mother is clearly desperate. She's making things up to turn you against me. But I could see the doubt creeping into Jasper's eyes. Then how do you explain these bank transfers? The maxed out credit cards in other men's names. Savannah's mask finally cracked. Her eyes narrowed as she hissed. You have no idea what I've been through. I deserve a good life, and I'll do whatever it takes to get it. The room fell silent as the weight of her admission sank in. Jasper stared at her, shock and betrayal written across his face. "Jasper," I said softly, reaching for his hand. "I know you thought you were in love, but this isn't love. It's manipulation." He pulled away, standing abruptly. "I need some air." As he stormed out, Savannah turned on me, her face contorted with rage. "You've ruined everything. I'll make you pay for this." Caleb stepped between us. "I think it's time for you to leave, Savannah. For good." As she gathered her things, spewing threats and insults, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. The battle was won, but at what cost? I found Jasper in the backyard, sitting on the old swing set where he and Caleb had played as children. He looked up as I approached, his eyes red-rimmed. "I'm so sorry, Mom," he whispered. "I've been such a fool." I sat beside him, wrapping an arm around his shoulders. "We all make mistakes, sweetheart. The important thing is learning from them." He nodded, leaning into me. "I don't know how to fix this. I've hurt you, Caleb, our whole family. We'll figure it out together," I assured him. That's what family does. As we sat there, the weight of the past months finally lifting, I thought of Eli. I hoped, wherever he was, he could see that our family was finding its way back to each other. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There were wounds to heal, trust to rebuild. But as I held my son, I felt a glimmer of hope. We had weathered the storm and emerged stronger for it. The real work of healing our family was just beginning, but for the first time in months, I felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, we would honor Eli's memory and forge a new path forward, one built on love, understanding, and the unbreakable bonds of family. The coffee shop buzzed with mid-morning chatter, but I barely noticed as I stared at the file Miriam had just handed me. My hands trembled slightly as I flipped through the pages, each revelation more shocking than the last. "I can't believe you found all this," I whispered, looking up at my friend's grim face. Miriam leaned forward, her voice low. "It wasn't easy, Nora. Savannah's been careful, but she's left a trail. 3 wealthy families, 3 broken engagements, and a lot of missing money." I shook my head, still processing the information. "How did we not see this sooner?" "She's good at what she does," Miriam replied. "But everyone slips up eventually. The question is, what are you going to do with this information?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Jasper. "We need to talk. Can you meet me at the house?" I showed Miriam the message, a mix of hope and dread churning in my stomach. I guess I'm about to find out. As I pulled into the driveway of our family home, I saw Jasper's car already parked. My son stood on the porch, looking more like the boy I raised than the angry young man he'd become in recent months. "Mom," he said as I approached, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm so sorry. For everything." I pulled him into a hug, feeling his shoulders shake as he finally let go of the facade he'd been maintaining. "It's okay, sweetheart. We're going to fix this." Inside, we sat at the kitchen table where we'd shared so many family meals. Jasper's eyes widened as I placed Miriam's file in front of him. "What's this?" he asked warily. "The truth about Savannah," I replied gently. "And it's worse than we thought." As Jasper read through the documents, his face cycled through a range of emotions, disbelief, anger, and finally, a deep sadness. "I've been such a fool," he whispered, pushing the file away. "How could I not see it?" I reached across the table, taking his hand. "Love can blind us, Jasper. But it's not too late to make things right." He nodded, squeezing my hand. "What do we do now?" Before I could answer, the front door burst open. Savannah stormed in, her face a mask of fury. "What is this?" she shrieked, waving a piece of paper. "A restraining order? You think you can just throw me away like trash?" Jasper stood, placing himself between Savannah and me. "It's over, Savannah. I know everything." She laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You don't know anything. You're nothing without me, Jasper. A pathetic mama's boy who can't stand on his own 2 feet." I watched my son's back stiffen, but his voice remained calm. "That's where you're wrong. I'm a Thompson. We don't need to steal or manipulate to succeed. We work hard and earn our place in the world. Savannah's eyes narrowed as she turned to me. This is your doing, isn't it? You've poisoned him against me. No, Savannah, I said, standing to join Jasper. You did that all on your own. Her composure cracked, desperation seeping through. You can't do this to me. I'll ruin you. I'll tell everyone how you mistreated me, how you tried to keep Jasper from his inheritance. Go ahead, Jasper replied. But first, you might want to take a look at this. He slid Miriam's file across the table. Savannah's face paled as she flipped through the pages. How? Where did you get this? She stammered. It doesn't matter, I said firmly. What matters is that it's over. You're going to leave my family alone, or we'll make sure every wealthy family in the state knows exactly who you are and what you've done. Savannah's shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of her. For a moment, I saw a glimpse of the scared, desperate woman behind the manipulative facade. You don't understand, she whispered. I had nothing. I was nobody. I just wanted a chance at a better life. Jasper's voice was gentle but firm. There are better ways, Savannah. Honest ways. I hope you find them, but it won't be with us. As Caleb escorted a defeated Savannah out, Jasper turned to me, his eyes brimming with unshed tears. I don't know how to thank you, Mom, for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. I pulled him close, feeling the weight of the past months finally lifting. That's what family does, sweetheart. We fight for each other, no matter what. As we stood there, I thought of Eli. I could almost feel his presence, his approval warming the room. We had weathered the storm, emerged stronger, and kept our promise to him. What now? Jasper asked, his voice muffled against my shoulder. I smiled, a plan already forming. Now we rebuild. Together. As a family. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There were wounds to heal, trust to rebuild. But as I held my son, surrounded by the memories of our family's love and strength, I knew we would face whatever challenges came our way. Eli's last words echoed in my mind. Don't let them lose themselves. We had come close, but in the end, we had found our way back to who we truly were. And that, I realized, was the greatest victory of all. The gallery buzzed with excitement, a sea of well-dressed patrons admiring the vibrant canvases that adorned the walls. I stood in the center of it all, my heart swelling with pride as I watched Caleb confidently discuss his work with an influential art critic. He's really made it, hasn't he? Jasper's voice came from beside me, a hint of awe in his tone. I turned to my eldest son, noting the genuine happiness in his eyes.
He has.
And so have you, in your own way. Jasper nodded, his gaze drifting to the small business cards he held, advertising his new ethical investment firm. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad things turned out the way they did, even the hard parts. I squeezed his arm, remembering the tumultuous journey that had brought us here. Your father would be so proud of both of you. As if summoned by our conversation, Caleb joined us, his face flushed with excitement. Mom, Jazz, you won't believe it. The Guggenheim wants to feature my work in their next exhibition. Jasper pulled his brother into a bear hug, their laughter drawing smiles from nearby guests. I always knew you had it in you, little bro. As I watched my son celebrate, I felt a presence beside me. Miriam handed me a glass of champagne, her eyes twinkling. You did it, Nora. You kept your promise to Eli. I took a sip, letting the bubbles dance on my tongue. We did it together. I couldn't have gotten through this without you, Miriam. She waved off my gratitude. That's what friends are for. Now, are you ready for the surprise? Before I could ask what she meant, Caleb clinked his glass, calling for attention. Everyone, if I could have your attention, please. There's someone very special I'd like to honor tonight. The crowd hushed as Caleb gestured for me to join him. Confused, I made my way to his side. This woman, Caleb began, his voice thick with emotion, is not just my mother. She's the backbone of our family, the one who held us together when we were falling apart. Mom, this is for you. He pulled a cloth off a nearby easel, revealing a stunning portrait. I gasped, recognizing myself and Eli, painted in Caleb's distinctive style. We were seated on our old porch swing, surrounded by swirls of color that seemed to pulse with life and love. "It's called Legacy of Love," Caleb explained, "because that's what you and Dad gave us. A foundation of love that could weather any storm." Tears blurred my vision as Jasper joined us, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. "We owe you everything, Mom. Thank you for not giving up on us." The gallery erupted in applause, but I barely heard it. In that moment, I was transported back to Eli's hospital room, hearing his final request: "Take care of the boys, and don't let them lose themselves." As I hugged my sons, I knew I had fulfilled that promise. We had all lost our way for a time, but in the end, we had found our way back to each other and to the values that truly mattered. Later that night, as the last guests trickled out, I found myself alone in front of Caleb's portrait. I traced the lines of Eli's face, remembering the warmth of his smile, the strength of his embrace. "We did it, my love," I whispered. "Our boys are going to be just fine." A gentle breeze rustled through the gallery, carrying with it the scent of Eli's favorite aftershave. For a moment, I could almost feel his presence, his approval warming me from within. Jasper and Caleb appeared on either side of me, each taking one of my hands. "What do you say we head home?" Jasper suggested. "I think this calls for a family dinner. Maybe we could make Dad's famous lasagna?" Caleb grinned. "Only if Mom promises not to burn the garlic bread this time." I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in years.
Deal.
"But you're both on dish duty." As we left the gallery, arm in arm, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. We had weathered the storm of grief, greed, and betrayal, and emerged stronger for it. Eli's legacy lived on, not in material possessions or grand gestures, but in the love that bound us together. In the end, that was the greatest inheritance he could have left us. The cool night air kissed my cheeks as we walked to the car, the stars twinkling overhead. I looked at my sons, Jasper, once lost but now found, his ambition tempered by wisdom, and Caleb, his talent finally recognized, his compassion a beacon for us all. In that moment, I felt a profound sense of peace wash over me. We had come full circle, from the depths of loss to the heights of redemption. And though the road had been hard, I wouldn't have changed a single step. As we drove home, the city lights blurring into a tapestry of possibility, I silently renewed my vow to Eli. I would continue to nurture the legacy of love we had built together, guiding our family toward a future bright with promise and rich with the values we held dear. The journey wasn't over. It never truly would be. But with the strength of our bond and the lessons we'd learned, I knew that whatever life threw our way, we would face it as we always had, together,
As a family.
and in that knowledge, I found a joy so pure, so complete, that it filled every corner of my being. This, I realized, was the true meaning of Eli's last wish. Not just to keep the boys from losing themselves, but to help us all find our way back to what really mattered. As we pulled into our driveway, the porch light a welcoming beacon, I smiled. We were home, in every sense of the word. And the best was yet to come. The autumn wind whips around us as we stand at Clara's graveside. My granddaughter Ivy's small hand trembles in mine, her grip tightening as the minister speaks words that blur together like watercolors in rain. I can barely look at the polished mahogany coffin, knowing my daughter lies within. "Grandma," Ivy whispers, tugging at my sleeve. "Mommy's trying to tell you something." My heart catches. I glance down at her serious little face, those eyes so much like Clara's. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" She keeps pointing to her tummy. She says it's important. Ivy's voice carries that matter-of-fact tone children use when stating the obvious. Across the grave, Evan, my son-in-law, stares at us, his expression unreadable behind designer sunglasses. He's dressed impeccably in a tailored black suit, every hair in place. Something about his composure makes my skin crawl. "Show, Ivy," he says. "This isn't the time for games." I pull Ivy closer, shielding her from his sharp tone. "She's 5, Evan. Let her grieve how she needs to." The service continues, but Ivy's words echo in my mind. Clara had been in perfect health before her sudden collapse. The doctors called it heart failure, but something about that never sat right with me. After the final prayers, mourners drift away like fallen leaves. Renee, Clara's best friend, approaches me with red-rimmed eyes. Lydia, She glances at Evan, who's speaking with the minister. Can we talk later? Before I can respond, Evan appears at her elbow. Renee, thanks for coming. I'm sure you understand we need family time now. The way Renee flinches at his touch doesn't escape my notice. She hurries away, leaving me with more questions than answers. Mother, Evan says, his voice honey smooth. I've arranged for Ivy to stay with my parents tonight. Give you some time to rest. No. Ivy's cry startles us both. She wraps her arms around my legs. I want to stay with Grandma. I meet Evan's gaze. She can stay with me. It's no trouble. His jaw tightens for a fraction of a second before he forces a smile. If you're sure, I'll have her things sent over. That evening, as I tuck Ivy into Clara's old bed, she grabs my hand. Grandma, Mommy's still trying to tell you about her tummy. She says you need to look. Look at what, sweetheart? At her. Before they put her in the ground forever. Ivy's eyes fill with tears. She says it's the only way you'll know. A chill runs through me. Know what? That Daddy's a bad man. I sit heavily on the edge of the bed, my mind racing. Clara's body is at Marshall's funeral home, waiting for tomorrow's burial. I've known Thomas Marshall for 30 years. He owes me a favor from when his daughter needed help with college applications. Try to sleep, love, I whisper, kissing Ivy's forehead. Everything will be all right. But as I close her door, I'm already reaching for my phone. Thomas answers on the second ring. Lydia? I was just thinking about you. Thomas, I need to see her. One last time. A pause. The viewing's over, Lydia. We're prepping for tomorrow's. Please. My voice cracks. I'm calling in that favor. Another pause, longer this time. Come now. Use the back door. I grab my keys, my heart pounding. Clara always said Ivy had a gift for seeing things others couldn't. If my granddaughter is right, if there's something about Clara's death we've all missed, I need to know. And God help Evan if he's involved. The bruise on Clara's stomach haunts me as I stand in her bedroom the next morning. It wasn't natural, a strange pattern of dark purple spots, like a constellation of stars. Thomas had gone pale when he saw it, mumbling something about calling the medical examiner. Ivy sleeps down the hall while I search Clara's room, my fingers trailing over her belongings. Everything looks perfect, untouched, too perfect. Evan must have been here already. The bottom dresser drawer sticks slightly when I pull it. Something catches my eye, a slight gap in the wood at the back. I reach in, feeling around until my fingers brush against leather. A small journal, wedged into a hidden space. My hands shake as I open it. Clara's familiar handwriting fills the pages, but these aren't the words of the daughter I thought I knew. April 15th, he threw my phone against the wall today. Said I was texting too much with Mom. Always running to Mommy, he said.
I should have seen this coming.
The way he isolated me from friends, controlled the money. God, I was so stupid. The floor seems to tilt beneath me. I sink onto Clara's bed, continuing to read. June 3rd. The bruises are getting harder to hide. Evan knows exactly where to hit, so no one will see. He's so careful about his image. Everyone thinks he's perfect, successful businessman, devoted husband and father. If they only knew. A soft knock at the door makes me jump. Mrs. Hawthorne. It's Marie, Evan's housekeeper. I quickly tuck the journal into my sweater. Yes. She peers in, wringing her hands. Mr. Mercer called. He's coming to collect Miss Ivy in an hour. Thank you, Marie. I notice her hesitation. Is there something else? She glances over her shoulder, lowering her voice. The night before, Miss Clara, before it happened, I heard them fighting. She said something about proof, about going public. He was so angry. My throat tightens. Did you tell the police? Mr. Mercer said they ruled it natural causes. Said there was no need to trouble anyone. Her eyes dart away. I should go. I've said too much. After she leaves, I flip through the journal's final entries. The last one stops mid-sentence, dated 3 days before Clara's death. I finally have what I need. The bank statements prove everything. Once Mom sees these, she'll understand why I have to take Ivy and bank statements. My heart pounds as I search the room again, but find nothing. Evan must have them. Ivy appears in the doorway, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Grandma, Daddy's here. I turn to see Evan behind her, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. Mother, I hope you don't mind. I thought Ivy might want to spend some time at home. Actually, I say, matching his tone, I promised to take her to the park today. Clara's favorite spot. Another time, perhaps. He steps forward, placing his hands on Ivy's shoulders. Come along, sweetheart. Marie packed your things. Ivy looks at me, her lower lip trembling. But Mommy says, Ivy. Evan's voice carries a warning. What did we discuss about making up stories? I move between them. She can stay if she wants to. I'm her father. His mask slips for just a moment, showing something cold beneath. And I think it's time we all stopped indulging these fantasies. Clara's gone. The sooner Ivy accepts that, the better. He leads her away before I can respond. Through the window, I watch them drive off, the journal burning against my ribs where I've hidden it. I reach for my phone, scrolling to Renee's number. The text she sent at the funeral keeps replaying in my mind. We need to talk. Not on the phone. My fingers hover over the keypad. Whatever Clara found in those bank statements, it was enough to get her killed. And now Ivy's alone with him. I start typing. Meet me in an hour. Bring everything you know about Clara and Evan. Everything. Renee's hands won't stop shaking as she pours her third cup of coffee. We're tucked away in a corner booth at Sal's diner, far from the windows. She keeps glancing at the door like she expects someone to burst in. Clara tried to tell you, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. That dinner party last Christmas? When she kept asking about your old cases from the library's legal section? The memory hits me like a punch. Clara, unusually quiet that night, asking about cases where spouses had disappeared. I'd thought she was researching for a true crime novel. She was planning her escape, wasn't she? Renee nods, pulling something from her purse, a small flash drive. She gave me this 3 days before it happened. Said if anything happened to her, I should give it to you.
My fingers close around the drive.
Why didn't you come forward sooner? Evan came to see me the day after she died. Renee's voice cracks. He knew about the affair I had last year. Said he'd tell my husband if I didn't keep quiet. But that's not why I'm here now. She leans forward. Clara was convinced he was poisoning her. The coffee turns to acid in my stomach. What? Small doses, she said, making her sick enough to need him. She started testing her food, keeping samples. It's all documented on that drive, along with the bank record she found. A commotion near the entrance makes Renee jump. It's just a waiter dropping plates, but her fear is contagious. There's more, she continues. The night before she died, Clara called me. Said she'd found proof that Evan's company was laundering money. Millions of dollars. She was going to expose everything. My phone buzzes, a text from Evan. Ivy's asking for you. Come for dinner tonight. He's invited me to dinner. I tell Renee. The color drains from her face. Don't eat anything he gives you.
Clara made that mistake.
She thought she could confront him, make him confess. She didn't know he'd figured out she was gathering evidence. I have to go, I say. Ivy needs me. Lydia, wait. Renee grabs my arm. There's something else. The night Clara died, she called me again. She was frantic, saying she'd found something in Evan's study, something about other women. She said. Renee swallows hard. She said she wasn't his first. The world tilts sideways. I steady myself against the table, remembering the strange bruise pattern on Clara's stomach. How many others had similar marks. I'll need copies of everything, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. And Renee? Get somewhere safe. She shakes her head. I can't leave.
He'll know I talked.
Then stay with me. We'll protect each other. My phone buzzes again. Evan. Ivy's made your favorite dessert. Don't disappoint her. I text back, looking forward to it. Standing to leave, I see a familiar face through the diner window, Detective Grant, watching from his parked car. He nods slightly, letting me know he's got eyes on us. One more thing, Renee says as I turn to go. Clara told me if anything happened to her, to tell you to look behind the loose brick in the garden wall, the one near her old reading spot. I pause. What's there?
She never said.
But whatever it is, she was willing to die to protect it. My phone buzzes a third time. A picture message from Evan, Ivy in the kitchen, wearing an apron, smiling that same forced smile I'd seen at the funeral. The caption reads, "We're both dying to see you." I clutch the flash drive tighter, feeling its edges dig into my palm. Whatever's behind that brick, whatever's on this drive, I have to stay alive long enough to find it. For Clara, for Ivy, for all the others who couldn't fight back. Detective Grant studies the bruised photos spread across his desk, his expression darkening with each one. These patterns, he says, tapping the image from the funeral home. They're consistent with arsenic poisoning. The discoloration, the clustering, I've seen it before. I place Clara's diary beside the photos. There's more. He flips through the pages, his jaw tightening. When he reaches the final entry, he looks up. You realize what this means? If Evan was laundering money through his company, Clara wasn't his first victim. I finish. Renee mentioned others. Grant pulls up something on his computer, turning the screen toward me. 3 obituaries, young women, all with successful husbands, all dead from natural causes in the past decade. My stomach lurches when I see their photos. They could be Clara's sisters. Evan Mercer worked with all their husbands, Grant says. Different names back then, but the same pattern. The companies would fold shortly after the wives died. Insurance payments, corporate assets, all disappeared. A knock at the door makes us both jump. Officer Chen steps in, looking grave. Sir, we've got a problem. The evidence from the Hawthorne case, it's gone. What do you mean, gone? Someone accessed the evidence room last night. Security cameras were disabled. All we found was this. She holds up an evidence bag containing a single playing card, the Queen of Hearts, with a crude X drawn across the face. Grant's chair scrapes back. Get me the duty roster now. My phone buzzes. A text from Renee. Someone broke in. They know. Getting out of town. Before I can respond, another message appears from Evan. Found something interesting in Clara's old things. Come by the house. Ivy misses you. He knows, I say, showing Grant the message. He's using Ivy to draw me in. We can bring him in for questioning. On what grounds? The evidence is gone. I stand, gathering Clara's diary. But I know where we might find more. The garden wall at Clara's reading spot. There's something hidden there. Mrs. Hawthorne. Grant's voice stops me at the door. Don't go to that house. Let us handle this. My granddaughter is there. And if something happens to you, who will protect her then? I think of Samuel, my late husband, how he always said patience was the deadliest weapon. I'll be careful, but I need you to do something for me. 20 minutes later, I'm parked outside Clara's old house, watching Evan through the kitchen window. He's making dinner, moving with that precise control that once seemed elegant but now looks mechanical. Ivy sits at the counter, coloring, but her eyes keep drifting to the window.
My phone buzzes one last time.
Grant. In position. Security footage recovered. You were right about the evidence room, inside job. Officer Chen's missing. The pieces click into place.
Chen.
The playing card. The other wives. I dial Evan's number, watching him answer through the window. Mother, he says smoothly. Coming to join us? Actually, I was wondering if you knew Officer Chen's wife. Laura Chen? She died 3 years ago. Natural causes, just like Clara. A slight pause. Through the window, I see his free hand clench. I'm not sure I follow.
No.
What about Rebecca Torres?
Katrine Orsch.
All dead within months of their husbands doing business with you. All with the same bruise pattern Clara had. You should come inside, he says, his voice dropping. Ivy's been asking for you. We wouldn't want to disappoint her, would we? I watch him set down the phone and add something to one of the dinner plates. My hand touches Clara's diary in my pocket, feeling its weight like a shield. No, I whisper. We wouldn't want that at all. The garden wall looms before me in the growing dusk, its weathered bricks holding secrets I'm not sure I want to uncover. Evan and Ivy are still visible through the kitchen window, but I keep to the shadows, counting bricks from the corner where Clara used to read. 3 up for a cross, I whisper, remembering Renee's instructions. The brick shifts easily, revealing a small metal box wedged deep in the wall. My fingers brush something cold. A USB drive, similar to the one Renee gave me, and a ring I recognize instantly. Clara's grandmother's ring, the one Evan claimed she'd lost months ago. A note falls from the box, Clara's handwriting hurried but clear. Mom, if you're reading this, check the footage from my necklace camera. The password is Ivy's birthday. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you sooner. He's watching everything. My phone vibrates. Detective Grant. Officer Chin found.
Dead.
Same bruise pattern. Get out now. Movement catches my eye. Through the window, I see Evan leading Ivy upstairs, his hand gripping her shoulder too tightly. She looks back, and for a moment, our eyes meet through the glass. Grandma. Her voice carries faintly through the window. Mommy says don't drink the tea. Evan's head snaps toward the window. I duck behind a bush, heart pounding, as his silhouette appears at the glass. The back door creaks open. Mother? His footsteps crunch on the gravel path. I know you're out here. Let's talk about this like adults. I clutch the box to my chest, weighing my options. The gate is 15 feet away, but he's between me and my car. You know, he continues closer now. Clara had this same habit of sneaking around. Never could trust her to stay where she belonged. A bitter laugh. She thought that camera necklace was so clever. Didn't realize I'd known about it for weeks. My phone buzzes again. Grant. 2 minutes out. Keep him talking. I step out from behind the bush. Did you make her tea too, Evan? He smiles, that perfect, practiced smile that must have charmed so many women before Clara. You should come inside. It's getting cold, and I've prepared something special. Like you prepared for Officer Chin? Or the others?
Ah.
He stops, head tilting. You've been busy, but you don't have the whole picture. The company's the money. It's bigger than you realize. Clara didn't understand either. She thought exposing everything would make her a hero. Where's Ivy? Safe. Upstairs. Where she'll stay, unless. He takes another step forward. We could make this easy. A quiet family dinner. A tragic accident. Grandmother and granddaughter. Overcome by grief, perhaps. Distant sirens pierce the evening air. Evan's smile falters for just a moment. You're surrounded, I say, praying it's true. It's over. He laughs, pulling something from his pocket. Clara's camera necklace. Nothing's over until I say it is. You know what's fascinating about digital evidence? How easily it can disappear. The sirens grow louder. Evan's eyes dart to the house, then back to me. Something shifts in his expression, that perfect mask cracking to reveal something desperate underneath. Last chance, he says softly. Come inside, or I promise you'll never see Ivy again. Through the upstairs window, I catch a glimpse of movement. Ivy's small face pressed against the glass, her hand raised in a familiar gesture. She points to her stomach, just like she did at the funeral. The pieces click together. Clara's last message wasn't about her own stomach. It was about Evan's secret room in the basement, the one she'd mentioned in her diary, the one where he kept his evidence, his trophies. I take a step toward the house. You're right, Evan. Let's have that tea. The basement door creaks open, revealing concrete steps descending into darkness. Evan's hand rests on my shoulder, steering me forward while sirens wail in the distance. Upstairs, Ivy's footsteps pace across the floorboards, our own private metronome counting down the minutes. You should have left it alone, Evan says, flicking on a light that illuminates rows of filing cabinets. Clara couldn't leave it alone either. My fingers brush against the USB drive in my pocket. How many others? Enough to build an empire. He moves to a cabinet, pulling out a drawer. Every wife brought something valuable: connections, insurance policies, corporate assets. Clara. He smiles that perfect smile. Clara brought you. Me? A retired librarian with a reputation for solving cold cases. The perfect person to expose everything, if anyone would believe you. He removes a folder, spreading photos across a metal desk. Who would trust the grieving mother-in-law? The photos show women, dozens of them, each one bearing that same strange bruise pattern. Each one smiling beside Evan in different guises, different hair, different names, but always that same practiced charm. Officer Chen was getting close, he continues. Like Clara, she thought she could save everyone. Such a waste. Footsteps thunder overhead. Police entering the house. Evan's expression doesn't change as he pulls out a gun. Sit, he says, gesturing to a chair. We're going to wait for Detective Grant. He'll want to see this. See what? Your suicide note, of course. How the guilt of falsely accusing your son-in-law drove you to desperate measures. He slides a paper across the desk. You'll be found with evidence proving you tampered with Clara's medication, driven mad by grief. Heavy footsteps approach the basement door. Evan positions himself behind me, gun pressed to my ribs. One word, he whispers, and Ivy has an accident before anyone reaches her. The door opens. Detective Grant appears, weapon drawn. Mrs. Hawthorne. We're down here, Evan calls, his voice trembling with fake concern. Something's wrong. She's talking about Clara, about hurting herself. I meet Grant's eyes as he descends, seeing the question there. One wrong move, and Ivy. My hand touches Clara's ring in my pocket, its edge sharp against my finger. Show him, Evan commands. Show him what you found. Slowly, I reach into my pocket, the USB drive and ring clatter onto the desk. Evidence, I say quietly, of a grieving woman's obsession? Evan's grip loosens slightly. Exactly. We tried to help her, detective, but after Clara? I think of Samuel, my late husband, teaching me self-defense after retirement. The smallest weakness, he'd said, can become your greatest strength. I'm sorry, I whisper. What was that? Evan leans closer. I'm sorry, Clara. In one motion, I drive my elbow back while twisting away. The gun fires, the bullet striking the filing cabinet as Grant tackles Evan. More officers pour down the stairs as they struggle. I lunge for the desk, grabbing the USB drive and photos, but Evan breaks free. His hand catches my ankle, pulling me down. My head strikes the concrete. Through blurring vision, I see him reaching for the gun again. Grant shouts a warning. Another shot rings out. When my eyes refocus, Evan lies motionless, blood spreading across his pristine shirt. Above us, Ivy screams. Grandma! I try to stand, but the room spins. The last thing I see is Grant reaching for his radio. Officer down. We need medical, now. Then darkness takes me, and Clara's voice whispers in my mind. Not yet, Mom. Ivy still needs you. The hospital room blurs into focus as I wake, the steady beep of monitors mixing with Ivy's quiet humming. She sits beside my bed, coloring, while Detective Grant stands at the window. Welcome back, he says. You've been out for 2 days. My throat feels like sandpaper. Evan.
Alive.
Surgery went well. Grant moves closer, lowering his voice. The evidence from the basement. It's bigger than we imagined. Dozens of victims across 3 states. Different names, different companies, but always the same pattern. And Officer Chen? Found her phone. She'd been building a case for months. That's why she infiltrated the evidence room. She knew someone in the department was working with Evan. Ivy looks up from her coloring. Mommy says he's awake now. Grant and I exchange glances. Down the hall, a door slams, followed by shouting and running feet. Stay with her, I say, pulling myself up despite the room spinning. Mrs. Hawthorne. He owes me the truth. All of it. I find Evan's room easily. It's the one with 2 officers posted outside. They recognize me, stepping aside after a nod from Grant, who's followed me out. Evan lies handcuffed to the bed, his perfect appearance finally cracked. Our eyes meet, and for the first time, I see something real in them. Fear. Come to finish the job? His voice is hoarse.
No.
I came to understand. Understand what? How I built an empire. How I protected my investments. How you could look Clara in the eyes every day, knowing what you planned to do. He laughs, the sound brittle. Clara was different. She wasn't supposed to. His facade cracks further. She looked at me like I was worth saving. Nobody had ever. But you killed her anyway. I had to. She found the records, all of them. The other wives, the shell companies, everything. She said she could help me come clean, start over. His hands clench. Nobody starts over. You just find new masks to wear. Footsteps approach. Ivy, breaking away from Grant. She runs to the bed, her small face fierce. Mommy wants you to know something, she says to Evan. His composure shatters completely. Ivy, please. She says the others are waiting for you. All of them. They're not going to let you hide anymore. The monitors begin beeping faster. Evan's eyes dart around the room, seeing something we can't. No, he whispers.
You're dead.
You're all dead. Medical staff rush in as he thrashes against the handcuffs. I pull Ivy back, watching his perfect mask finally fall away completely. They're here, he screams. Make them stop looking at me. Later, in the hallway, Grant tells me Evan signed a full confession. He'll never get out, he says. The DA's pushing for maximum sentences on all counts. But I'm watching Ivy, who's resumed her coloring as if nothing happened. What did you really see in there, sweetheart? She looks up, Clara's eyes staring back at me from her small face. Just Mommy and the others. They needed him to see them one last time. And now they can rest. She holds up her drawing, a garden full of women, all smiling, all free. Mommy says we can go home now. She's not angry anymore. I touch the bruise on my temple, thinking of all the wounds that don't leave visible marks. Some scars heal clean, while others transform us into something stronger. Yes, I say, taking her hand. Let's go home. Behind us, Evan's screams fade into whispers, then silence. Whatever he sees now, he'll see forever. Some justice comes from courts and confessions, but other kinds arrive on their own, carried by the whispers of those we thought were gone. 1 year later, I stand in Clara's garden, watching Ivy plant sunflowers. The same wall that once held dark secrets now supports climbing roses, their thorny stems covering old wounds. The Clara Hawthorne Foundation received another donation, Renee says, joining me with coffee mugs. She's different now, stronger, like steel forged in fire. 3 more women came forward after the trial. They're safe now. I nod, thinking of the foundation we built from Evan's seized assets. Clara would have liked that, using his money to save others. Ivy looks up from her planting, dirt smudged across her cheek. Mommy says the flowers will bloom extra bright this year. Detective Grant's car pulls into the driveway, and he approaches with a familiar manila envelope. The last of the paperwork, he says. Evan's appeal was denied. He'll never see daylight again. How is he? I ask, not sure why I care. Still claiming he sees them. All of them. The prison psychiatrist says he spends his days apologizing to empty chairs. Ivy stands, brushing dirt from her knees. They don't sit in chairs anymore, silly. They dance in the garden. We all fall silent, watching her skip toward the house. Sometimes I wonder if she really sees Clara, or if it's just her way of keeping her mother close. Maybe both can be true. There's something else, Grant says quietly. We found another diary, hidden in one of Evan's old properties. It belonged to his first wife. My hands tighten around the coffee mug. What did it say? That's just it, the last entry. He hesitates. She wrote about her daughter, a little girl who could see things others couldn't, who disappeared the same night her mother died. A chill runs through me despite the warm spring air. You think? I think some questions are better left unanswered. He looks toward Ivy, who's arranging flowers in the kitchen window. Some gifts, too. Later that evening, as I tuck Ivy into bed, She grabs my hand. Grandma, Mommy wants you to know something. What's that, sweetheart? She says it's okay to be happy again. That's why she sent you the dreams about the garden. I freeze. I've never told anyone about those dreams, about Clara showing me where to plant each flower, how to make beauty grow from darkness. She also says, Ivy yawns, her eyes drifting closed. She says the other little girl is happy too, with her own mommy, in their own garden. I sit there long after she falls asleep, watching shadows dance across the wall. Tomorrow, we'll plant more flowers. The foundation will help more women. Life will go on, growing new patterns over old scars. But tonight, I swear I catch a glimpse of Clara in the moonlight, tending to her flowers. She looks up and smiles, not the careful smile she wore in her final years, but the real one, bright and free. Beside her, a small figure dances among the roses, her laughter echoing like wind chimes. I don't tell Grant about what Ivy said. Some truths belong to the garden, to the quiet spaces between justice and mercy, between vengeance and healing. Clara understood that in the end. So did her daughter, who sees what we can't or won't. The sunflowers will bloom soon, turning their faces toward the light. And in their shadows, other flowers grow wild and free, tended by hands we cannot see but know are there. Sometimes justice comes from courtrooms and confessions. Sometimes it grows in gardens, planted by children who speak to ghosts, tended by mothers who learn to listen. And sometimes, if you're very quiet, you can hear them all dancing among the roses. The invitation arrived on cream-colored cardstock, Avery's wife Lila's elegant handwriting spelling out, "Family Gathering," in perfect cursive. Something about those two words made my hands tremble as I stood before my bedroom mirror, adjusting the pearl necklace Silas had given me on our 40th anniversary. "You're being silly, Cora," I whispered to my reflection, smoothing down my navy dress. But 35 years of motherhood had taught me to trust my instincts, and right now, they were screaming. The drive to Avery and Lila's new house was short, barely 10 minutes through our sleepy Tennessee town. Silas had been unusually quiet the whole way, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. When I reached over to pat his hand, he flinched. "Everything all right, dear?" "Fine," he said too quickly. "Just thinking about work." The house was a Victorian masterpiece, far grander than anything a high school teacher and accountant should afford. As we walked up the wraparound porch, my grandson Finn burst through the front door, nearly tackling me with a hug. "Grandma, come see my new room." He tugged at my hand, but Lila appeared in the doorway, her smile tight.
Later, Finn.
The adults need to talk first. The living room was a showcase of expensive furniture that still smelled of department store plastic. Avery paced near the fireplace, while Lila perched on the edge of an armchair like a bird ready to take flight. Silas settled into the corner of the sofa, leaving space between us that felt like miles. "Mom," Avery started, then stopped, looking at Lila for help. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Would anyone like coffee?" Lila stood abruptly. "I just bought this wonderful French press." "What's going on?" I interrupted, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. Before anyone could answer, small footsteps thundered down the stairs. Finn appeared in the doorway, his face flushed. "Grandma, I heard Dad and Mom talking last night. They're going to..." "Finn." Lila's voice cracked like a whip. "Go to your room."
Now.
But Finn stood his ground, his bottom lip trembling. "They're going to send you away. To that place where old people go."
I heard them.
The room went silent. I could hear the antique clock on the mantel ticking away seconds that suddenly felt precious. Silas wouldn't look at me. Avery had stopped pacing, his face ash-white. "A nursing home?" The words felt foreign on my tongue. "I'm 62 years old. I still tend my own garden. I volunteer at the library 3 days a week." "Mom, it's not like that," Avery started, but I held up my hand. "Then what is it like?" I looked at each of them in turn. My son who couldn't meet my eyes, my daughter-in-law studying her manicure, my husband of 43 years suddenly fascinated by the pattern in the carpet. Finn slipped his small hand into mine. "I don't want you to go, Grandma. Nobody's going anywhere right now, I said, squeezing his hand. But as I looked around this room full of secrets and lies, at this family I thought I knew, something shifted inside me. The fear and confusion crystallized into something harder, sharper. Finn, would you like to show me that new room of yours? He nodded eagerly, pulling me toward the stairs. As we left, I caught a glimpse of Silas reaching for his phone, his hands shaking. Whatever was really happening here, whatever had driven my family to this moment, I would find out. And God helped them when I did. Finn's bedroom window overlooked the park where he used to play t-ball. I watched him fidget with a model airplane, his small fingers tracing the wings as he spoke. Dad was yelling really loud last night. He said Grandpa lost all the money, and they have to sell your house. The words hit me like a physical blow. Lost all the money? What money, sweetheart? I don't know, but Mom said something about retirement and investments. He set down the airplane. Then they talked about the nursing home. Dad didn't want to, but Mom said there wasn't any choice. A knock at the door made us both jump. Mom, Avery's voice. We should finish our discussion. Just a minute. I called, but my voice cracked. Finn grabbed my hand. We can go to the park, he whispered. Through the back stairs. I do it all the time when Mom's mad. I shouldn't have done it. Proper grandmothers don't sneak out of houses with 9-year-olds. But proper husbands don't plot to send their wives away either. 5 minutes later, we were crossing the street to the park. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the empty playground, and the spring air carried the scent of blooming dogwoods. Tell me everything you heard, Finn. Every detail. He pumped his legs on the swing while he talked. Grandpa came over really late. He was crying, Grandma. I've never seen him cry before. My stomach twisted. In 43 years of marriage, I'd seen Silas cry exactly twice, when Avery was born and when his mother died. He kept saying he was sorry, that he didn't mean for it to happen. Mom got really mad and said he'd ruined everything. Finn's swing slowed. Then they talked about selling your house to pay something called creditors. My house. The one I'd spent decades turning into a home, where I'd raised my son and tended my garden. Where every wall held memories of a life I thought was secure. Dad said there had to be another way, but Mom said the nursing home was the only option that made financial sense. Finn jumped off the swing. What does that mean, Grandma? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. 3 missed calls from Silas, 2 from Avery. A text from Lila. Please come back. We can explain everything. It means, sweetheart, that your grandmother needs to make some changes. I pulled him close, breathing in the scent of a shampoo. But I want you to know something. No matter what happens, I will always be here for you. Always. Promise. Cross my heart. We walked to the baseball diamond where dandelions push through cracks in the dirt. Finn picked one, its yellow head bobbing in the breeze. Mom says you're getting forgetful, he said quietly. That's why you need to go away. But I don't think you're forgetful at all. I thought about my morning routine. Coffee at 6, crossword puzzle by 7, volunteer work 3 days a week. The garden I maintained without help. The books I discussed at my weekly reading group. The investments I'd tracked for years while Silas insisted on handling everything himself. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Silas. Please come home. I can fix this. Fix this. Like I was a problem to be solved, a burden to be managed. Rage bubbled up, foreign and fierce. Finn, would you like to get ice cream? I think we both could use some before we go back. He grinned, gap-toothed and beautiful. Can I get sprinkles? You can get anything you want. I took his hand, my mind already racing ahead. They thought they had it all figured out, my family with their secret plans and whispered conversations. But they'd forgotten something important. They'd forgotten who I was before I was anyone's wife, anyone's mother, anyone's grandmother. And it was time to remind them. After dropping Finn back at the house, I drove straight to Marlene's. She opened her door before I could knock, still wearing her gardening apron despite the setting sun. I saw your car pull up, she said, studying my face. You look like you've seen a ghost.
Worse.
I've seen the truth. I followed her into her kitchen, where herbs dried in bunches from the ceiling. The familiar scent of rosemary and sage couldn't calm my shaking hands. Marlene poured 2 glasses of wine without asking. Start from the beginning. I told her everything: the housewarming party, Finn's revelation, the whispered plans for my future. When I mentioned Silas's financial troubles, she set her glass down hard enough to slosh wine onto her worn tablecloth. That explains the foreclosure notice, she said quietly. What foreclosure notice? On the Miller property. The one Silas was developing through his investment company. She hesitated. Cora, there's something you should know. I've been hearing things at the bank where I volunteer. My stomach clenched. What things? Your husband's name keeps coming up in conversations. Something about mismanaged funds, properties underwater. She reached for my hand. And there's talk about retirement accounts being emptied. The room tilted sideways. My retirement account? And others. The rumor is he was using them to cover losses on bad investments. She squeezed my fingers. When did you last check your statements? I hadn't. Silas handled all our finances. He'd insisted on it for 43 years, calling it his responsibility as a husband. I trusted him completely. There's more, Marlene said. That beautiful house your son just bought? The deed's in Silas's name. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The mysterious house purchase. The sudden concern about my mental state. The nursing home plans. They're trying to protect their assets, I whispered, by declaring me incompetent before everything comes crashing down. The nursing home would be state-funded, Marlene confirmed. And if you're declared mentally incompetent before any financial wrongdoing comes to light, then I can't testify against my own husband. The words tasted like ash. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Silas. Please come home. I need to explain. Don't go, Marlene said sharply. Not until we figure this out. I stood, my legs steadier than I expected. I need to see something first. 20 minutes later, I sat in my home office, staring at my computer screen. It had taken 3 tries to guess Silas's password, our anniversary date, then Avery's birthday, finally settling on his mother's maiden name. The financial records spread before me like a map of betrayal. Empty retirement accounts. Mortgages I'd never signed. Investment losses that made my head spin. And there, buried in a folder marked Family Trust, documents preparing for my psychological evaluation. The front door opened downstairs. Silas's heavy footsteps crossed the foyer. Cora, are you home? I clicked through another document, this one showing transfers to Avery and Lila's account. Money that should have been our retirement. Now funding their new life, while plans were made to discard me. Cora?
Closer now.
The stairs creaked. I opened one final file. Papers for power of attorney, already drafted, waiting only for a doctor's declaration of my incompetence. My hands stopped shaking. The office door opened behind me. There you are. I've been worried sick. Have you, Silas? I turned to face my husband, seeing him clearly for the first time in 43 years. Or have you just been worried I'd find out? His face went pale as he saw the computer screen. I can explain everything. Yes, I said, my voice steady. You will. Silas slumped into my office chair, the leather creaking beneath him. In the fading light, he looked older than his 64 years, his shoulders curved under an invisible weight. It started with small investments, he said, properties that seemed guaranteed to turn a profit. But then the market shifted, and I had to cover the losses. With my retirement fund, my voice stayed steady, though my fingernails dug half-moons into my palms. I was going to pay it back. I had a plan. He reached for my hand, but I stepped away. The Miller development was supposed to fix everything. And when that failed, you decided to fix me instead? I gestured at the power of attorney documents on the screen. Have me declared incompetent? That was Lila's idea. The words tumbled out. She said it was the only way to protect what's left. If you're declared incompetent before the creditors come, before they discover you've committed fraud, the family photos on my desk caught my eye, vacation snapshots, Christmas mornings, moments I'd thought were real. And Avery agreed to this? He didn't want to, but the house. Silas wiped his face. I put it in my name to protect him. If everything falls apart, at least they'll have somewhere to live. A knock at the front door echoed through the house. Silas jerked upright. That'll be Dr.
Patterson, he said.
I called him when I couldn't find you. He's here to do an evaluation. You actually called him? The reality of their plan hit me full force. You were really going to do this tonight? We don't have much time. The bank is asking questions. Another knock, more insistent. Silas stood, reaching for my arm. Please, Cora.
Just talk to him.
Make this easier for everyone. I yanked away, my wedding ring catching the last sunlight through the window. 43 years of marriage flashed through my mind. The young man who'd promised to cherish me. The father who'd taught our son to ride a bike. The husband who'd held my hand through my mother's funeral. Easier? I pulled the ring off my finger. It felt lighter than I remembered. Like this? The ring clinked against his chest as I tossed it, bouncing once before rolling under the desk. Silas stared at me, mouth open. Cora, don't. Mrs. Whitfield. A man's voice called from downstairs.
I'm Dr.
Patterson. Your husband asked me to stop by. I grabbed my purse and car keys. If you try to have me declared incompetent, I'll tell the authorities everything. About the fraud, the missing money, all of it. You'd send me to prison? His voice cracked. After everything we've been through? The footsteps on the stairs grew closer. I thought of Finn in his new room, playing with his model airplane, innocently revealing the plot against his grandmother. I thought of Avery and Lila in their beautiful house, built on stolen dreams. You should have thought of that before you decided to throw me away. I slipped past him and down the hall, my shoes silent on the carpet. The back stairs would take me to the kitchen door, the same escape route Finn had shown me earlier. Behind me, I heard Silas greeting the doctor, making excuses about my whereabouts. Let them search. Let them worry. Let them wonder what else I might know, what else I might do. As I drove away, my bare finger throbbing where my ring used to be, I realized something. Betrayal doesn't break you all at once. It happens slowly, then suddenly, like ice cracking beneath your feet. And I was done trying to keep my head above water for people who'd rather watch me drown. Marlene's guest room felt like a shelter in a storm, but I couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m, I sat at her kitchen table, scrolling through dozens of missed calls and messages. Avery's latest text made my hands shake. Mom, please don't do anything rash. We can work this out as a family. Family. The word had lost its meaning somewhere between fraud and betrayal. Can't sleep either? Marlene appeared in her robe, clutching 2 mugs of chamomile tea. I heard you pacing. I found something else, I said, sliding my phone across the table. Look at the date on this email. She squinted at the screen, then drew in a sharp breath. 3 months ago? They've been planning this since before Avery and Lila bought the house. The tea scalded my throat. They used my retirement money for their down payment, knowing they'd need to get rid of me before I found out. A car's headlights swept across the kitchen windows. We both froze. That's the 3rd time tonight, Marlene whispered. Same car. Silas probably hired someone to watch for me. I laughed, but it came out hollow. He always said private investigators were cheaper than lawyers. You need a lawyer, Cora. A good one. I need my life back. I twisted my bare ring finger, the skin still marked after 43 years. But first, I need to get to the bank before Silas can empty any more accounts. Dawn found me in the parking lot of First Tennessee Bank, waiting for the doors to open. My phone buzzed, Lila this time. Finn's asking for you, she said without preamble. He won't go to school until he talks to you. Put him on. Not until you promise not to fill his head with. Either put my grandson on the phone, or hang up Lila. Those are your options. A pause, then Finn's voice. Grandma? Are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart. Just taking care of some things. Dad's really mad at Grandpa. I heard them fighting last night. His voice dropped to a whisper. Mom says you're sick, but I told her you're not. I told her you're the smartest person I know. Tears burned my eyes. Thank you, Finn. That means everything to me. When are you coming home? Before I could answer, the line went dead. Lila's number was already blocked when I tried to call back. The bank manager's office felt too small, too warm. She reviewed my accounts with practiced neutrality, but I saw the moment she noticed the irregularities. Mrs. Whitfield, these transactions. She turned the monitor, so I could see. They're quite concerning. Would you like me to contact the authorities? I stared at the numbers, each one a betrayal in digital form. Not yet, but I need to make some changes first. By noon, I had opened new accounts in my name only, transferred what little remained of my personal savings, and filed fraud reports on the unauthorized transactions. As I left the bank, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mom, it's Avery. Please don't do this. Dad's talking about hurting himself. My finger hovered over the reply button. Then I remembered the power of attorney papers, already filled out. The doctor they'd brought to declare me incompetent. The house they'd bought with my stolen future. I deleted the message. Back at Marlene's, I found a manila envelope on her doorstep. Inside was a single sheet of paper, a copy of my marriage license, with a post-it note in Silas's handwriting. Remember who we were. Please come home. I let the paper fall into Marlene's recycling bin. Who we were died the moment they decided who I should become. Tomorrow, I'd see a lawyer. Tonight, I'd plan my revenge. The lawyer's conference room felt like a courtroom, with my family arranged on one side of the mahogany table and me on the other. Silas wouldn't meet my eyes. Avery kept checking his phone. Only Lila stared directly at me, her expression carved from stone. Before we begin, my lawyer said, Mrs. Whitfield has some documents to share. I slid copies across the table, bank statements, transfer records, forged signatures. Each paper landed like an accusation. Mom, Avery's voice cracked. We were trying to protect you. By stealing from me? By securing your future. Lila cut in. Do you know what happens to elderly people who run out of money? Who can't afford proper care? I'm 62, not 90. And I wouldn't need care if someone hadn't emptied my accounts. Silas flinched. The market was supposed to turn around. I had guarantees. Like the guarantee you made 43 years ago? To love and honor. The door creaked open. Finn slipped in, ignoring his mother's sharp intake of breath. You're not supposed to be here, Lila hissed. Neither is Grandma, he said, climbing into the chair beside me. She's supposed to be home. My lawyer cleared his throat. Mrs. Whitfield is prepared to press charges unless certain conditions are met. Charges. Avery stood so quickly his chair toppled. You'd send your own husband to jail? You'd send your own mother to a nursing home? We found a nice place, Lila said. Private rooms, activities, qualified staff. I have the brochures. I pulled them from my bag. The ones you left in Silas's office. $1,500 a month, state subsidized. Quite a bargain compared to paying back what you stole. Silence fell like a curtain. Finn's small hand found mine under the table. What do you want? Silas finally asked. The house stays in my name. You move out. Avery and Lila repay every penny of my retirement fund they used for their down payment. And you? I looked at my husband of 43 years. Sign a confession detailing exactly what you did. That would ruin him, Avery protested. He ruined himself. I'm just making sure he can't ruin anyone else. Lila's laugh was bitter. And you think this makes you the better person? Destroying your family for revenge. No, I said quietly. I think this makes me a person. Not a problem to be managed or an obstacle to be removed. If you do this, Silas's voice shook, there's no coming back. No fixing things later. Things broke the moment you decided I was worth more to you locked away than by your side. Finn tugged my sleeve. Does this mean I won't see you anymore? Of course you'll see her, Avery snapped. Once she realizes how childish she's being. That's enough. My lawyer stood. My client has made her terms clear. You have 24 hours to decide. As chairs scraped back and papers shuffled, Finn wrapped his arms around my waist. I don't care what Mom and Dad say. You're not crazy. Lila grabbed his shoulder. We're leaving.
Now.
I watched them file out, my grandson fighting tears, my son avoiding my gaze, my husband looking suddenly old and small. Only Lila paused in the doorway. "You'll regret this," she said softly. "When you're alone with nothing but your pride, you'll remember who really tried to take care of you." The door clicked shut behind them. In the sudden quiet, my lawyer gathered his papers, muttering about filing deadlines and court dates. But all I could think about was Finn's face, and how revenge felt nothing like victory. The 24 hours hadn't quite expired when Finn showed up at Marlene's door, out of breath and clutching his backpack. "I rode my bike," he said, pushing past me into the house. "Mom and Dad are fighting again. Grandpa's at our house too, and he's crying." My heart clenched. "Does anyone know you're here?" He shook his head, pulling something from his backpack, a manila envelope, wrinkled and stained with coffee. "Grandpa dropped this. I think it's important." Inside was Silas's signed confession, along with documents showing transfers of funds back to my accounts. But there was something else: medical records. Silas's medical records. "Stage 3 pancreatic cancer," I whispered. "Diagnosed 4 months ago." The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Avery's car in the driveway, Silas in the passenger seat. Lila stood on the porch, arms crossed.
"Finn," she called.
"I know you're in there." I looked at my grandson, his face pale but determined. "It's okay," he said. "I'm not afraid anymore." When I opened the door, Lila started to speak, but I held up the medical records. "Were you going to tell me?" She stepped back. "He made us promise not to. Get in here. All of you." Minutes later, we sat in Marlene's living room, the same players as yesterday's meeting, but with exhaustion replacing anger. Silas looked smaller somehow, diminished. "The first investment went bad," he said quietly. "I thought if I could just make it back before the cancer." His voice cracked. "Before I left you alone." "So, you decided to leave her alone in a nursing home instead?" Avery's voice was sharp. "Dad, I can't keep defending this." "I'm not asking you to." Silas pulled out more papers, property deeds, bank statements. "I've signed everything over to Cora. The house, what's left of the accounts, everything. Avery and Lila's house too." Lila stood abruptly. "You can't." "He can," I interrupted, "because it was never his to give you in the first place." Finn, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly spoke up. "Is Grandpa going to die?" The room fell silent. Silas wiped his eyes. "Yes, buddy, but not right away." "Then why are you all fighting? Why can't we just—" He looked at each of us in turn. "Why can't we just be family for the time we have left?" I thought about revenge, about justice, about all the ways I'd imagined making them pay. Then I looked at my husband, this proud, foolish man who'd tried to secure my future by stealing it. "The house stays in my name," I said finally. "All of them. But Avery and Lila can stay in theirs, with a proper rental agreement. And Silas." He met my eyes for the first time in days. "Yes, you'll move into the guest room at our house. We'll get hospice care when it's time. But no more secrets, no more schemes. Everything in the open." "Mom," Avery started, but I held up my hand. "I'm not doing this for him. Or for any of you." I reached for Finn's hand. "I'm doing it because revenge doesn't heal anything. And we've all done enough damage." Lila sank back into her chair. "What about the confession? The charges?" "I'm keeping them. Insurance against future betrayals." I looked at each of them in turn. "Trust, once broken, has to be earned back. Slowly.
Carefully.
If you're willing to try." Finn squeezed my hand. Across the room, Silas nodded, tears tracking down his face. Outside, the late afternoon sun painted Marlene's garden in shades of gold and shadow, like a reminder that even the darkest days eventually yield to light. Not an ending, perhaps, but a beginning of something new, something honest, something real. 6 months later, I stood in my kitchen, arranging cookies on a plate while hospice adjusted Silas's medication in the next room. The doorbell rang, and Finn burst in, followed by Avery and Lila, their step still cautious on my threshold. I made honor roll. Finn waved his report card. And I got picked for the science fair. Of course you did. I hugged him close, breathing in the scent of autumn air, and boy, your project on solar energy was brilliant. Lila cleared her throat. We thought maybe, if you're not too busy, you could help him with the next one. The olive branch was small, but it was there, like the casseroles she'd started bringing over, or the way Avery now called every evening to check on his father. Baby steps toward something not quite forgiveness, but close enough. I'd love to, I said. But first, I have something to show all of you. I led them to my home office. Once Silas's domain, now transformed. Where his investment papers had been, there were now college brochures. My laptop showed applications for business courses, and a half-finished business plan lay on the desk. What is this? Avery picked up a pamphlet for small business loans. Remember that little bookshop downtown? The one going out of business? I touched the business plan. I'm buying it. The papers will be ready next week. But Lila looked confused. You've never run a business.
No.
Because 43 years ago, when I had the chance, I chose to support your father's dreams instead. I met their eyes. It's time for my own. Finn examined the shop's photo. Can I help? I could organize the kids section. I'm counting on it. The hospice nurse appeared in the doorway. He's asking for you, Mrs. Whitfield. All of you. Silas lay propped up in the hospital bed we'd installed in the guest room, his face gaunt but peaceful, his eyes fixed on the business plan in my hands. You finally found the courage, he whispered. I had it all along. I just needed to remember. He nodded, then looked at Avery and Lila. The house is yours when it's time, but on your mother's terms. Always on her terms now. Dad, Avery started, but Silas shook his head. I spent years thinking I knew what was best for everyone, making choices that weren't mine to make.
He reached for my hand.
I forgot that love means supporting dreams, not burying them. Later, after they'd gone home and the nurse had settled Silas for the night, I sat in my office planning tomorrow's bank meeting. Marlene had offered to help with the bookkeeping, and Finn was already designing bookmarks for the grand opening. My phone buzzed with a text from Lila. Need help with a business plan? I know some people. Another olive branch. Another step forward. I touched the bare spot on my ring finger, thinking of the wedding band now tucked away in my jewelry box. Some bonds remain even after the symbols are gone, transformed but not destroyed. Like the way Silas now asks about the bookshop every morning, trying to make amends with what little time he has left. Or how Avery calls me Mom again, the word carrying new weight, new understanding. The last light of day filtered through my window, casting long shadows across the business plan. Tomorrow, I'd sign the papers that would make the bookshop mine. Next week, I'd start classes on business management. Small steps toward a dream 43 years delayed, but not defeated. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply becoming who you were always meant to be, while those who once sought to cage you learn to watch you fly.